Yeah, now is the recordings are started. Yeah. All right then. Okay. Thank
Yep.
you, Manoj. So I will be on mute. Please carry on.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Hiraj, for starting the recording.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, so let's start the session, guys. So today, first of all, basically today is the contract management process flow session, guys. But before we begin with the contract management process flow, we are going to have a look at little bit on the content section of the sourcing template because that was pending from me yesterday. So first of all, if you want to have a look at the content section, which navigation path you have to follow? Means if you want to go to the content section of the sourcing template, you have to click on the manage, you have to click on the templates, scroll down, click on the sourcing template, okay, and scroll down to find your own template which has been customized by yourself. Click on this one. So this is our specific template which we have created yesterday. And then what we will do, we will go back to the document over here. So click on the document, click on edit. Once we click on the edit, these rules and all those things we have seen. Now what we will do, we will click on the content, and here also we will click on the content. So let me remove all these basic things. Our requirement is over here. See, generally content means what? Excuse me. Generally, guys, content means whatever you will add over here, this will come in all of your RFP as a part of line item. So that means in this template, if you add something in the content section, those things are going to come in any RFP which is getting created from this template. And where this content is going to come? Within the line item section of the RFP. Now, first of all, generally, we don't give anything related to price over here. Why? Because if you give the price related thing over here, what will happen? That will not be used by everybody. So what is the specific use for it? If you look at from the project implementation perspective. Now let's say if you go to any project and your client is saying, I don't want to do RFI, then you will be happy. Okay, this guy don't want to do RFI, so I don't have to work on more templates. But your client is saying, I want to do the RFI within RFP. Now what is the issue? The issue is like, first of all, there is you cannot use the standard scenario. You have to use a custom scenario. Then you will say, very good, no issues on this part. What other things as a functional consultant we have to do? So here you have to keep in mind that we have to add some technical specific questions. Okay, very specific questions regarding RFP you cannot put over here. Why? Because let's say if you put something related to computers, like what is the specification for the CPU, what is the specification for the RAM, like this, if you write over here, if somebody is using this template to buy a mouse or buy a monitor, then what will happen? Those things will not be required. So here generally we put questions generally which are general in nature. That means in RFI, what do you ask? Generally you will ask some questions, basic questions like, do you agree to our terms and condition? Send us the technical specs, upload the attachment and send it back. Okay, third thing, some generalized question. So those generalized question where you will add over here. Although you have option to add specific question too, but you should never add specific question in a template. Why? Because of only one reason. Because it will only help in one, or basically you can say a group of RFP, not for all the RFP. So what will happen? The other user will just remove those questions. Okay. So let us see how we can add a question over here. So you can click on add over here and you can see the question is coming over here. Click on question. Now, first of all, first question we are going to ask, are you compliant with GDPR policies? This is the first question we are going to confirm. And then afterwards, you will see there is a lot of fields which is having over here through which you can control this question as well as the answer. So first of all, you can see over here, is this a prerequisite question to continue with the event? What do you mean by event over here, guys? Can anybody take a guess? So can anybody take a guess, guys, over here? Just a moment. Excuse me. Correct. So actually, we are in a RFP event. But remember, guys, whenever you are using a question, indirectly, not directly it's an RFP event. Indirectly, it's an RFI event only. Okay. So always remember, whenever you are adding a technical question over here, directly the event is RFP, but indirectly it is an RFI. Why? Because you are trying to do both the RFI and RFP over here, nothing else. So keep this thing in mind. That's the first thing. Okay. So what do you mean by this particular question? Is this a prerequisite question to continue with the event? It is the meaning of this question is like, do you want to make this question as mandatory for this event to get completed? That means this question will be sent to whom when you will publish the RFP? This will be sent to the supplier, right? And supplier, once they receive these questions as well as the line items, system will make this thing as mandatory. So once this question is made as mandatory, supplier cannot say, I will not give an answer to this. So if you want to make this question as mandatory for your whole process, then you will be selecting this as yes. And here you will be seeing some more options over there. Basically, don't choose anything else apart from yes, restricting response submission. Restricting response submission means what? That means if you don't, as a supplier, if you don't fill up these questions and don't give an answer to this question, your response won't be submitted. Okay, that is one of the prerequisite whenever you are creating a question, and another prerequisite is response required. So here you will see there is two concept, owner and participant. So I think owner means RFP creator. What do you mean by participant, guys? Any guess? Correct. Participant means supplier. So basically, if you are making the response as required, system is saying, okay, yes, you can do it. No, you cannot do it. Yes, if you're doing, see, there is two options, participant required, and the second one is yes, owner required, participant optional. That means what? The first one, if you choose yes, participant required, it means the supplier has to give the response mandatorily to this particular question. But if you choose the second one over here, what will happen? That means this question is mandatory for the owner. That means RFP creator, not for the supplier. So always remember there is two types of question. In RFI, mainly what configuration you will be doing? or basically which question you will be doing? The question which you will be sending to the supplier to answer them, right? So that is why either you are going to make this thing yes participant required or no, like this. Okay, but never the last one. Why? Because if you choose the last one over here, this question is intended for the RFP creator. RFP creator have to give answer to this question. For supplier, it is not required at all. Okay, so this will defeat the whole purpose of RFP. So always remember both this option, response required and is this a prerequisite question to continue with the event, both of this option has to be selected as yes restricting response submission, yes participant required. Then only this question will qualify as an RFI question. Otherwise, if you select any other thing over here, that does not mean an RFI question. Why? Because it will not be intended for the supplier. It will be intended for the RFP creator. Then it will become more like a fact finding mission for the RFP owner. Okay, so that is how you should begin with your configuration of RFI based question. Okay, so remember this thing. Okay, now next thing, owner must review responses before participant can continue with this event. Generally you should always select this as no. Why? Because otherwise what will happen, supplier when they will give an answer to this particular question, when these questions will be questions answer will be seen by the RFP creator or the buyer, guys, can any of you take a guess? Supplier will see the question, supplier will give the answer to the question, but when these questions as well as answers would be seen by the buyer, can anybody take a guess? Yeah, correct, guys. So remember, two options has to be fulfilled completely, then only you will be doing. First thing first is like the supplier must have submitted the response as the first thing, and the second thing is like your bidding end date has been reached. That means RFP should be in status pending selection. Okay, and responses must be submitted by that time. So if you see the question, owner must review responses before participant can continue with the event. That means if you selected this as yes, okay, so until and unless RFP creator review your supplier's answer, you cannot proceed with response submission. And before response submission, you cannot see the answer to the question. So this particular thing is self-defeating. So this one will also be no. Then you will be asking me, Manoj, then why this particular question has been given? Because the thing is like, guys, Ariba does not know this question you're using either using for RFI or RFP. If you use these things for RFP over there, then it has a different meaning over there. It's optional. Sometimes some questions has to be clarified first. Okay, so then it will be working like that in RFP over there. But remember, in RFI, this must always be no. Otherwise, it will not work as a RFI. It will work as a RFP type of question. Okay. Now, another most important thing, that is the acceptable values. Sorry, answer type. Answer type means what? Basically, the data type. Now, Ariba is asking you what data type should be the answer. That means Ariba is asking that whether it's a number, whether it's a character, whether it's a date, money, all those stuff. So generally what we use is we use text for taking any comments, or as well as some brief description. We will use text. We will use whole number or decimal number just for capturing any uh, what you can say, uh, number related questions. Now let's say if we have asked what is your profit for last 2 years. Based upon your profit, okay, we are going to award the tender. That is also one of the parameter. So in that question, you will always give the answer type as either whole number or decimal number. Similarly, you can take a date type of question. Yes, okay, you have been following these particular policies from which date? Please enter the date. So then supplier would be able to give answer on date. Money, we don't use it. Why? Because as I said, money or profit and loss and all those things, any numerical things, we will do it with the usage of whole number or decimal number. And the last one which we generally use is attachment. Attachment is used for what? Basically, uh, we will ask the supplier, hey, do you agree to our GDPR policy, or do you agree for it? Once somebody say yes, we agree, then what will happen is like we will ask them to upload their GDPR policy in a electronically scanned format or in PDF format. So that particular answer will be nothing but a attachment. So there you have to select the answer type as attachment. Okay, so this is how the different answer type we will select over here. So let me just select the text single line over here. Next thing is acceptable values. So acceptable values means what? That means system is asking you, since you have given string, text means string over here, will you give a comment like answer section where what you can say, supplier can just give their comments over there, they can write anything, or are you going to give a drop down? In the drop down you will give different points that these are the 4 different options, you have to choose either of these 4 options. So yes, you can do either of these 2 things also, whichever you require, it will work accordingly. Okay, so the first question we are going to choose any value. Okay, the second question we are going to choose the uh, options over there. Okay, now next, visible to participant, what do you think the answer would be over here, guys? Yes or no? Any guess, guys, what should be the answer to this visible to participant? Remember, you are doing this question for RFI. Correct, correct, guys. Yes, it should be yes. Otherwise what will happen? Supplier won't be able to see this question at all. Okay, then second thing, sometimes what will happen is like, let's say you have given a string character. Now there generally you can type in till 256 words, or maybe 1023 words, depending upon the multiple line things. But sometimes supply will say, hey, you have given me this much amount of length to write the answer, but I have to give a little bit more explanation. So in that case what will happen? In that case you have to give that particular option to the supplier. So always remember, whenever you are giving a comment kind of uh, input field for any question, at that point you should always select this as yes. Participant can add additional comments and attachment, yes. But whenever you will give different option, as I said, drop down, in that scenario you don't need to make this thing as yes. But if you're giving this thing as comments, then you have to select this thing as yes. Why? Because sometimes some more comments are required from the supplier side. To take all those things, you have to give them extra space. Extra space means additional comments and attachments. If you select this as yes, supplier will be able to give additional comments in a separate place altogether in that particular question. Okay, and these are the basic things while you are working on this thing. So basically, let us click on done. then what will happen? This is basically the questions which is going to come. Now, first of all, tell me guys, are you compliant with GDPR policies? Have we given the correct input field over here? Don't you think it should be a yes no kind of option rather than using a, what you can say, comment field over here, comment input field? So what are your views on this thing, guys? Yes, correct, guys. So always remember, sometimes client will never tell you what is the answer type. So you have to ask this question to your client specifically. Why? Because if you don't ask this particular question to your client, what will happen? You will take a decision. And if we take a decision over here, there will be issues. So we try to avoid that particular thing. Okay. So we try to avoid that particular thing over here. So if you want to change the answer type, can we do it? Definitely you can do it. How you can do that thing? Click on this question, click on edit and click on content. And here choose a yes no. Click on yes no. Now you click on done. See, it is coming like this. So you can select your questions like this. Now, okay, this is the first question. Since we are doing implementation for our, uh, European client, the next question, what your client is saying is like, Manoj, okay, if your answer to the first question is yes, that means are you compliant with GDPR policy? If the supplier is giving an answer as yes, then I will ask another question. And what is that particular question? Are you compliant with GDPR policy from 1st October 2016 or not? But this question will be depending upon the first question's answer. Can we do it? What do you think, guys? Can we do it over here? Correct. Correct, guys. We can do it over here. So, how we will do that? We will see that. But before that, we have to add another question. Hmm. Are you compliant with GDPR from 1st October 2016? This is the question. Here also, I will make this thing yes, restricting response submission. Answer type should be an yes, no. Okay. Yes, participant required. Visible to participant, yes. Can add additional and attachment, no. Okay. And where is the condition? Now you will be thinking, Manoj, where is the condition? So you need to just click on done over here. Once you click on done over here, what you need to do is like you need to click on, sorry, you need to click on add and you need to click on conditions. Okay. And within the condition, you have to click on add over here once again. Okay. So once you click on add over here, here you have to write visibility condition for question 2. Same thing in the description you will put. In the expression, what you will do, are you compliant with GDPR policy? And if you select this option as yes, then only this question, this expression should get satisfied. Okay, just a moment. And he will click on done. Okay, just a moment. So this is how you can set the visibility condition over here. Okay, that means you are saying that question 2 will only be visible when, as a supplier, you are giving the first question's answer as true. That means yes. Okay, now once you have done this particular thing, this condition, this particular thing will be depending upon to the answer of question 1. Now based upon the answer from question 2, what I need to do is like, I need to create another question, and that particular question will be related to what? It will be related to attachment. Okay, so once again, click on add questions. Okay, now is this a prerequisite? Yes. And what is the question? Please upload your certification in electronic format. Okay, answer type. Here what I will do, I will click on attachment. Okay, visible to participant, yes, no, or let us keep this thing as a. Sometimes they will be giving a little bit more comments over there, it is needed. That also we can select over here. Once we have selected, what we will do, we will click on done, and then again I will select this particular thing. I will click on edit, I will click on condition, I will add once again, and here I will write click on undefined, and here, are you compliant with this GDPR rule from 1st October 2016? If this is yes, then only you should put it like this. But let me tell you guys, sometimes you have to make a what you can say, complex condition. What is the complex condition? Now let's say the third question will depend upon the answer to both the first and second question. So how you can do this thing? You have to click on edit, and here what you have to do is like, you have to select all of it. And the second thing is like, just a moment, let me just delete this thing. Yeah, all of means what, guys? All of means over here means and. That means all the questions which you are putting and all the answer you are putting over here has to be made mandatorily. Now let's say if you're selecting, are you compliant with GDPR policy? Yes. Second question's answer, you are saying, are you compliant with GDPR policy from 1st October 2016? You are selecting as no. What will happen to this condition then? This visibility condition for question 3? This will become fail. It will fail. Why? Because both of the condition has to match. So that also you can do. Why? Because sometimes client must ask you that based upon your answer to question number 1 and question number 3, then only question number 4 should be visible. So in that case, you have to select all of, and then you have to do it. Or sometimes your client will say either has to be true. So in that case, what you will do, you will just click on all of, and you have to select any of over here. Don't select all of. I'll remove this thing. Okay. Uh, yeah. So you can change to either of this thing. Okay. Any of means what? Either. That means, are you compliant with GDPR policy? GDPR policy. If you give yes, okay. Next question, if you give no also, now also the question 3 will be visible. Similarly, if you give the first question over here answer as no, and the second question answer as yes, then also question 3 would be visible to the supplier. So that is how you can prepare different visibility condition for what? For your questions. So that is how you can put different questions over here for your RFI. So apart from this thing, most of the other things you will be seeing is like some supplier will be, or sorry, some client will be coming and saying to you, I need to capture the financial information over there. So there, whatever question they will give, you have to put and configure. Then you have to also configure the visibility condition. Okay. Similarly, some client might come and ask you that, uh, please put over here the technical related specs. Like, do you have a, if you're working in a construction or, engineering kind of client, they will be saying, upload the AutoCAD drawings and all those stuff in the attachment section. Those kinds of questions will be coming over here. So you have to design those questions. But always remember, guys, whenever you're taking a requirement from the client, not only you will ask them the question, but you will also ask them what should be the answer data type and how should be the answer given over there. Whether the questions will be visible every time to the supplier, or only in special cases it will be shown to the supplier. So all these kinds of questionnaires, excuse me guys. So all these kinds of things you have to ask to whom? To the buyer. That means client. Once you get this thing, then only you can configure all of this thing. Okay. So this is basically how you can bring the functionality of RFI in RFP. But guys, can any of you take a guess? Will there be any limitation? Let's say if you send this RFI question to the supplier will give the answer to this RFI over here, and RFP you will add at the, line item you will add at the RFP level. They will also give the quotation and they will submit. Is there any issue which the buyer might encounter later? What do you think about this thing, guys? Here you have collected the RFI answer. Very good. You will be adding the line item in the RFP. From there, you will take the price quotation from the supplier. Very good. But will there be any limitation? What do you think, guys, on this part? Yes, there will be limitation. Why? Because in RFP, always remember one thing, guys, that Ariba will do a automatic evaluation of your RFP only with respect to price. Now, let's say you have given this question and you have said, I will give priority of 40% to these technical questions and 60% of the price. But Ariba will give 100% priority to the price. Now, Ariba will say this guy is the L1, but you find out after your evaluation that the L3 supplier is basically your L1 according to your formula. So, what will happen? In this case, you will never use the standard scenario for avoiding the three standard scenario which we have seen, because there you cannot change the supplier, neither you can do other evaluations also. So you have to always make sure that if you are conducting RFI and RFP both from the normal RFP process, you have to mandatorily use manual scenario or custom scenario. Standard scenario you cannot use. Why? Because you won't be able to change the L1 supplier to L3 supplier. Similarly, you cannot tweak the evaluation too also. So keep this thing in mind, guys. Okay. So these are the few things which you should keep in the mind. Why? Because if you want to do both of the process, these are few things which are mandatorily should be done in this way only. So that is why I said 95% of the time client will be using manual scenario. Why? Because of this particular issue. Okay. So always keep in mind this thing, guys. Okay. So guys, let's do one thing. Let's take in a very small break of 5 minutes over here. After that, we are going to begin with our contract management session over here. Okay. But meanwhile, after the break, if you're having some query, we will be taking up your query, then we will be going to the contract management sessions over here. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, you guys. Thank you, guys. So let's take the small break. Yeah. Thank you, guys. So let's take a break, and we will be coming back, and we will be taking your question answer session. Yeah. Guys, am I audible to all of you? Yeah. If you're having any question, please raise your hands. Yeah. Diksha, can you please go ahead with your query?
Yeah, Manoj, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, just one question here that on the content screen, these are the questions that I've added as a part of RFI in RFP, right? And below that, I can
Exactly.
add my line items for price
Yeah,
quotations.
you can add over there, but I will suggest don't add it. Why? Because line item are highly specific, right? See,
Okay,
in
okay.
one
Oh, sorry.
RFP, you can add
Yeah, I forgot
line
that this
item
was
means
the
lap.
config. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, generally, if you want to add questions, you can add question no matter from whether from RFI perspective, whether from RFP perspective. From RFI perspective, if you add it, there are three prerequisites which I have told, right? The first one
Hmm.
is event participation. It should be restricting response submission. That was the first thing. Second thing is response required, yes, and the third one is visible to participant. That's yes. For RFP, generally the question is geared towards whom? Towards the RFP creator. Why? Because the RFP creator sometimes will say that okay, these are the different things which you have to follow to the supplier. So instead of a rules kind of thing, we sometimes make it a question which is geared toward the RFP creator. RFP creator will uh, you know select a proper answer to that, and that question and answer will be visible to the supplier. So based upon that, supplier will do the delivery or deliver the products in such manner over there. So that is the main difference between the questions of RFI and RFP. RFI
Okay.
question, it is geared toward the supplier. RFP question, this is generally geared towards the RFP creator.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, got it. Actually, I just got confused. Okay. And if you have time before the contract management, can you just show the whatever configuration we have done in the template? Can we see it now when the RFP creator will be using the template, just the tabs, not like creating a whole sourcing project?
Okay, so in this particular process, Diksha, the thing is like generally what we tell our participants over here is look at these recordings. Once you look at these recordings, try and create your own custom template. Once you have created your own custom template, then create a RFP from the custom template and look out the whole thing. Why?
Okay.
Because you cannot look at one phase over there. You have to complete the end-to-end processing. Then only you will understand the process over here.
Okay. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Any other queries, Diksha?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome, Diksha. Yeah. Spandana, can you please go ahead with your query? Spandana, I think you need to unmute yourself. Yeah. So, Spandana, if you're having some issue with your mic, you can just type in your query in the chat box. Okay. Okay. So you're not having any question. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. No issues. Yeah. I think before that, uh, Prem is having some question over here. Let me read out this question. Can we do this two process in two separate uh, transactions? Yes, Prem, you can do it like this. Basically, in a quick project, you have to create one RFI first. Once you have created the RFI, then what you will do, you will create another separate project, which is called as RFP. But there, in the predecessor project, you will select the RFI. That also you can do. But generally, this is a little bit avoided. Why? Because you have to do two separate process over there. This will involve a little bit more time. That means RFI and RFP will take at most 2 weeks to get completed. But if you do an RFI separately, then you move to RFP, that will take more than 1 month. So that is why most of the clients say, I will take both the technical and price response at the same time from the supplier, and I will reduce the time. For the same sourcing project, yes. For the same sourcing project, I think you cannot do that. You have to use a full sourcing project for that scenario. Quick project, see, in quick project only one event can be selected, either RFI or either RFP. Yeah, thanks for it. Yeah, Saurav, can you please go ahead with your query?
Hey, good evening, Manoj. Saurav here. Yeah, question here is,
Yeah.
the concept of partner profile, okay, in Ariba. The reason I'm coming to this point is because, say,
Mm.
if the client has a requirement and the
Mhm.
requirement is, hey, I want to onboard this particular vendor after the RFP has been awarded to that particular vendor, right?
Mhm.
So if we onboard that vendor and they have these multiple partners, right? One for billing, one for shipping, and all those things. How do we maintain this in Ariba?
Okay. Now the thing is like, first of all, what will happen is like those things will generally happen in the downstream part. So basically, once you select this supplier and award the tender or award the RFP to the supplier over there, what will happen? You will do the qualification, right?
Right.
Once qualification is done, after half an hour, 40 minutes, the background task will run, and that particular supplier will get created in downstream. Now, suppose most of the time, what supplier will do is like, they will say, this is my address, this is my bill to party, bill to address, okay, delivery at ship to address, and all those stuff will be there, right? Mainly supplier location over there. Now, when the downstream supplier has been created, if a supplier is saying no, it is different, my contact person is different for the billing things, okay, and another contact person I will be having for delivery things. So in that scenario, what you will do is like, you will go to the downstream supplier. You will not be concerned in the upstream supplier. You will go into the downstream supplier, and there you will create different contact person. This particular contact person is generally called as partitioned supplier.
I
So
see.
those things will generally come in the downstream part. Why? Because ultimately you will see when the delivery will happen. Delivery will happen once the PO has been sent to the supplier, right?
Right.
So PO will get generated where? In Ariba downstream, not in upstream.
Okay. So question coming here, right? So if the client has
Yeah.
only requirement not to use the, the PO creation from Ariba, but they want to have this PO created in the SAP itself, correct?
Yeah.
And in that case, we maintain all this PO and partner profile in SAP, right?
Yeah. So in that scenario, I think you have to go with the customization of integration. Why? Because in the integration scenario, what will happen is like, the once you qualify the supplier, that data will generally go to your ECC or in S4 HANA system over there. Now over there, what you need to do is like, you need to create an enhancement request saying, this supplier, although we have our account over there, I want to create multiple contact person for them. Why? Because I'm not going to use this supply in downstream. I'm going to use this supply in S4 HANA or in ECC over there. So you have to raise an enhancement request, and then Ariba will give you that particular option. So whenever the master data integration will happen for the supplier part, that means you are sending the data from SLP or basically Ariba to ECC or S4 HANA. There you have to select which contact person you are going to make for the different activities. Once you've done this thing, then that particular data will be moved to your ECC or in S4 HANA system.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So,
So in that case, I think sort of what you're talking about is like, in that case, I think you are dealing with the upstream in Ariba module or in Ariba solution. Basically, you are working, or your client is working with only upstream solution. Downstream things are generally happening in S4 HANA system or in ECC system.
the downstream, they are skipping this PO, particularly PO part, and they only want the invoices to happen from the Ariba portal, which we get posted in the our system.
Yeah, that means like, you have taken the upstream, full upstream, and in
Yeah.
the downstream only invoice management part you have taken.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So
For that, this particular enhancement has to be done. There is
yeah.
no other way.
Okay. So in that case, all at once. Okay. Now coming back to that same vendor question, right? So if we have to maintain these partners, right? So do we have to create separate vendor records, supplier records in the Ariba?
No,
If
basically, as I said, once you create an enhancement request, a screen will be designed for you. Why? Because you have to define who is the different contact person. So
Hmm.
once you qualify the supplier over there, what will happen?
Hmm.
That particular screen will be, what you can say, will be enhanced for your customer only or for your client only. So there you have to choose what are the different contact person. And once you save this thing, then you will do the qualification process. Now this data,
Hmm.
that means this supplier with all the contact person will move to your ECC or your S/4HANA system.
Oh, I see. Okay, that cleared me. Yeah, thanks, Manoj. That was pretty much clear.
Yeah, welcome, Saurav.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, just a moment. Yeah, Ramarao, can you please go ahead with your query?
Hi Manoj.
Yeah,
Am I
hello.
audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to know, is there any limit on the number of questions which we are adding here in the content section, or
No, there is no limit, Ramarao. So actually,
okay?
only the limit is like based on the performance. Now, generally, we generally add 15 to 20 questions mostly per template. That is more than enough. But if you,
Okay.
let's say if you want to add 100 questions, then generally
Yeah.
yes, you can add it. But the issue is like then you have to look at the performance section also. So those things will not come into the development system when you will working. Those things will
Mhm.
come into the picture when you will be going ahead with the production system. So always remember,
Okay.
if your transaction volumes means the subscription which your client will be taking from SAP Ariba, the transaction
Mhm.
volumes you have to keep a eye on the transaction volume. If it is low, then I will suggest don't go more than 30 questions. If it is high, then you can
Okay.
go ahead with 100 question, even 200 question also.
Okay. Because my client uh, who want to implement SLP, they are around 70 to 80 questions in the registration and qualification process each.
Yeah,
That's the reason.
72. See, SLP is different. SLP
Okay.
is different. Why? Because SLP, those questionnaires will not be directly done into Ariba network, neither in Ariba Spend Management. Okay, those
Okay.
things will be transferred from the Ariba Spend Management. Then it will go to Ariba network. In Ariba network,
Mhm.
you will be filling this up, and then it will come. And if you look at the request, ultimately those questionnaires are not getting generated directly within the supplier request or sorry in supplier registration. But in this
Mhm.
RFP, whenever you will create a RFP from this particular template, let's say 10 or 15 RFPs getting created each day. So within the RFP,
Okay.
all the
Got it.
questions will be initialized. So what will happen? This will
Go-
affect the performance.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Okay. I understand. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other queries?
No, no, Manoj. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome, Rama. Okay. Tanmay, you are having some query? Just a moment. Yeah, Tanmay, you are having any query?
Yeah, Manoj. Actually, I had a query regarding, yesterday's section wherein you set a limit to, underbidding. For
Yeah.
example, vendor tries to put 9,000 instead of 90,000 for a 9 lakh bid.
Yeah.
So similarly, is there any way we can, give the tolerance to the upward limit also, or
No.
that's not likely to
Generally,
happen?
no, it's not over there. Why? Because the bid guardian percentage always works in minus, not in plus. Why?
Okay.
Because if you look at the initial price over there or the target price, that means SAP Ariba is saying that as a supplier, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot quote more than that target price.
Oh, okay, got it. Got it.
Okay, so always remember bid guardian percentage will always be in negative. It will not be in positive.
Okay, because this I got this question in one of the interviews, so I'm not able to answer it. Like I could answer it no, but I like this answers my question that
Yeah.
Ariba has a guideline that cannot. Okay, fine, thank you.
Yeah. So always try to do one thing, not only for you, Tanmay, but for everybody. It does not matter whether you are giving a question for the company or for the client. Whenever
Okay.
some question is asked, okay, don't try to
Mhm.
give a yes or no answer. Why? Because if you
Okay.
try to give a yes or no answer, most of the people will think, okay, you're taking a guess. So directly, rather than giving a yes or no answer, just explain them the process, what is happening. So once you explain them that the target price means over there, you cannot go above the price. So bid Gaussian percentage will always work in negative. So that means you are telling to the interviewer as well as the client that you not only know about the process, but you also know about the template configuration as well.
Yeah, true. So Manu, one quick question. Can you just go back and show the path here?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
like
Just give
how
you a
to
moment.
enter the edit mode, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you want to see from where I can come to the template or
Manage,
from the,
yeah,
okay,
from manage, yeah, from the
yeah,
beginning. Manage
yeah.
templates and then
You can click on manage. You can click
okay,
on templates,
yeah,
scroll down, sourcing templates,
okay,
come down, and always look at your owner. Owner should be your user ID over here. Okay.
okay,
So this is my user ID and this is the
okay,
template which I have created yesterday. I will click on
correct.
this template. I will click on
But
open.
Manoj,
Yeah.
then like as you like while creating this template, you were able to copyright. So most of
Mhm.
us don't have the copy, function. So for that, how like
Uh,
how
uh,
to
so,
then?
so you try to copy from the standard template?
Okay, I can do that. Okay, so copy is
Yeah.
not available for only for custom templates. Is that
Yeah.
what you're
Why?
saying?
Because, yeah, basically always remember custom template you cannot copy. Why?
Copy, yeah,
Because
that you explained.
yeah,
Yes, yes,
because
yes.
the thing is like you are the owner. Now let's say
Correct.
I am a owner for this particular template. Okay. From this template with your user ID, you cannot copy it. You can only copy
Okay.
it from the standard one.
Okay, so owner should be Ariba. Then I can copy.
Ariba
Okay.
system. Yeah. Always remember this thing.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay, then I know the path. I just wanted to see because
Yeah.
I was not able to copy. Okay.
Yeah. So always remember, guys, whenever you're doing a copy, look at a standard template. Standard template means owner should be Ariba system, not anybody else. If you are going into others template, what will happen is like you will not have the authorization to do it because there is a lock concept over here. And this lock concept means that you cannot edit it. It's not about that only. That means also you cannot copy that template. Okay. So always use the standard template for creating your custom templates. Yeah. Any other queries, Tanmay?
No, Manoj. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome, Tanmay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Tanmay. Okay, so guys, this is the sourcing template configuration which we are talking about over here. Now, next we have to go to the contract management. Okay, now let me tell a little bit about the contract management over here and why it is important over here. Because you will see contract management is a different thing if you compare the contract management process between uh, SAP ECC, SAP SRM, as well as SAP Ariba. So whoever has seen the SAP related contracts over there, okay, I think most of you can reconnect that you will open the contract, add the different line items. Where you will add the line items? Within the screen, right? Then you will be selecting some other fields type and then you will publish the contract. But here in SAP Ariba, generally the different items, we don't add it in the screen directly. Why? Because in Ariba, contract means you will see the first task in any contract editing is called as contract authoring. Contract authoring means what? That means you will have different document. One is a Word document, another is a Excel document. You have to author those document, you have to change those document, then you have to publish this document, then you will be having different tasks. You have to complete those tasks, then only your contract will get published. So always remember, guys, this is the major difference between SAP's contract management and SAP Ariba's contract management. That here you will not add any line item, line item will be coming from your RFP. That means whatever you have added in this particular sourcing project, it will come automatically as a Excel document within your contract. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, what do you think over here, guys? What about terms and condition? Generally, most people will say terms and condition is part of SAP contract management, not for SAP sourcing. So what do you think over here, guys? Is it correct or is it wrong? Terms and condition, which is the leading module for terms and condition, or basically the legal rules, contract or the sourcing project? Take a guess, guys. Now, yes, all of you have given the correct answer, contract. Why? Why terms and condition and legal rules are set in contract, not in sourcing project? Can anybody take a guess, guys? Why? Let me give you a hint. What's the difference between a PR and PO? Almost same things are present within the PR and PO, but why PO is the main, not the PR? Correct, correct. There are two things. I think most of you are uh, having an understanding that the internal document and external document kind of thing. What do you mean by this? That means sourcing generally cannot ever be a legal document. Why? Because it's an internal communication between the buyer and the supplier. PR, we are not doing any communication with the supplier, so it's a totally internal document. But here, sourcing is an internal document between the buyer and supplier. It's just like you going to your colleague and saying, "Hey, man, you can give me a loan for 1 lakh." What is this? This is just a talk, right? And if you just give 1 lakh rupees to your colleague, you haven't done legally anything. And if you give it in their cash and nobody has seen this, so if your friend is saying, "No, I will not pay you back the money," so what will happen? There is no legal basis you can prove that the money has been taken by your colleague. This cannot be allowed in a big organization. So that is why always remember, sourcing is nothing but a communication as well as conversation between the buyer and supplier. So terms and condition will always come in contract. Why? Because contract is a legal agreement between buyer and supplier. That's the difference between sourcing and contracting. Why? Because many times lots of participants generally ask me, Manoj, generally we capture terms and condition in sourcing. And then I will say, yes, you might do it sometime, but it is not mandatory. That's the first thing. And the second thing is like, don't think that sourcing was created for that particular thing only. Sourcing was just created to find your source of supply. That's it. Terms and conditions are legal things which should be done in contract management only. Okay. So one Word document in your contract with all the terms and conditions will be there. The second Excel document will be there within your contract with all your line item details along with the source of supply, the best price which has been given. Once you have given this thing, you have to author the document. Why the authoring is needed, I will be telling you over here, guys. After that, once the authoring has been done, you will be publishing the contract. That means you will be completing the task. There will be some 7 or 8 tasks, including one approval task. Once it is done, what you will do next? You will publish the contract. But remember, that is the end of contract management. But actually, it's not the end of your contract process. Why? Because contract management or contract has been published, but contract compliance has not been completed. Okay, so contract compliance, more on that we are going to have a look at it in our next week sessions, but today we are going to have a look at the contract management part only. So first of all, where we will create the contract. So as we know, this particular sourcing project we have worked on. Okay. So this particular sourcing project, previous week we have seen the whole process. So if you want to create a contract, always come to your sourcing project which has been completed. Always remember the status should be completed over here. Once you are here, go into the award section. Once you are in the award section, then you can click on the contract over here. Okay. Once you click on the contract, what next? You need to create new contract. Then you might be thinking, Manoj, why add to existing contract is coming over here? So what do you think over here, guys? Why add to existing contract is there? Why? Because I think most of you will understand that one RFP or one sourcing project is equal to one contract. Then why add to existing contract has been given? So what do you think, guys? Okay, let me tell you a different scenario. Now, first of all, I think few of you will be saying we are having 10 line items, we are having 10 supplier. So for the same RFP, for 10 different line item, I have awarded 10 different line item to 10 different supplier. What will happen? So in that scenario also, you will not be using add to existing contract. Why? Because add to existing contract can only be done when the supplier is same. Okay. So there you will click on create new contract 10 times. But what is the usage of add to existing contract? Now here, let me tell you a scenario, guys. Let's say you want to build a headquarter for your company. Okay. Let's say you're working in Accenture and you want to build a headquarter in India, second headquarter in India. Are you going to just type a RFP in the RFP? You will say second headquarter for Accenture. Like this, you will type in a RFP and then it will work. What do you think, guys? Are you going to work like that? Once simple RFP for your one headquarter in India? Are you going to do it like this? Or are you going to break up this requirement into multiple RFPs? One for the building, another for the construction, third is for other miscellaneous services. Which one it is going to happen over there, guys? Answer this from not from the functional perspective, but from the business perspective. Correct, correct, guys. Different RFP. Why? Because if you create only one RFP, it will become too much complex and it cannot work properly over there. Always remember this thing. Okay, that's the first thing. What's the second thing? Okay, just give me a moment over here, guys. Just give me a moment. Okay, so guys, the requirement will be like you cannot create a simple single project which will be very complex in nature. there will be a lot of problems. So to make this issue easier, we will create multiple RFPs. Now, let's say from this main project, I have created 6 RFP, and out of the 6 RFP, 3 RFP has been won by the same supplier, and rest of the other 3 supplier are awarded the other 3 RFP. Then how you will create a contract? For the last 3 RFP, you will be creating 3 different separate contracts. But first 3 RFP, what you will do? For the first RFP, you will create a contract. Okay, so basically what will happen over here, guys, is like the first RFP which you are doing, you will be creating a new contract. Second RFP is also awarded to the same supplier. So what you will do, there you will click on add to existing contract. The third RFP is also having the same supplier. So what you will do, you will click on add to existing contract. So always remember, many people generally, many participants think over here that if the supplier is same in any RFP, okay, you can just click on add to existing contract. No, you cannot do. Let's say supplier is like Amazon present over there. Now one RFP has been created from IT department, another RFP has been created from HR department, and Amazon is your supplier. So are you going to merge both of this contract in a in a one contract and send this contract to Amazon? No. Why? Because the designated team members are different. Okay, so that is why generally always remember, even if the supplier has been awarded to the same sorry, if the supplier is same also, remember RFP is different, no issue, but the project should be same. So guys, then you will be asking me next, Manoj, what project you are talking about over here? Which project you will be asking? So basically, project means over here the construction of second headquarter buildings. This is not a thing in the system. Why? Because in the system there is nothing called as project. Why? For Ariba there are 6 different RFP. It does not have any value. But all of you generally knows that this 6 RFP belongs to one project. So always remember, if all of your RFP is belonging from one project, and the second thing is supplier is same, then you will use the add to existing contract. Is it clear, guys, over here? When to use add to existing contract and when to use new contract? Because these are looking very small, but remember this thing, guys, that whenever you will go to your work, this particular thing or question will be coming from the buyer, and you have to explain them this particular scenario from the business point of view. Then only they will accept it, or there will be a lot of issues. Okay, but mostly remember, this is very rare kind of thing. This will happen 90% of the time. You will be using create new contract only. Okay, so once you click on the create new contract, automatically you can see the supplier to whom you have awarded, it is coming automatically. Why? Because always remember, the awarded supplier will always come over here. Now let's say you have taken 10 supplier and awarded only 3 supplier. So only those 3 supplier name will come over here, not the other 7 supplier. Okay, always remember this thing. So once you select this particular supplier, what next? You need to click on create new contract. And once you click on create new contract, once again a new screen will come. What is this particular screen called? This particular screen is called as create contract screen. Remember, we are still not within the contract. So first thing first, okay, I will not say anything over here, but I will say about this particular thing first. Predecessor project. When we were in RFP process, I was telling to all of you guys, the predecessor project is empty. Why? Because RFP or the sourcing project is the starting point of your process. What is the second process? Contract. Now, since we are making or creating this contract with reference to RFP, in the predecessor project of the contract, see what is coming over there. Basically, your sourcing project name. And why it is coming? So that you can understand that all this data which is coming into the contract, it is coming from the RFP. That means this contract is a follow-on document. This is not a what? This is not a standalone document, standalone contract. Okay, so that is why predecessor project is the most important part over here, guys. Next, untitled name. So here generally what we will do, we will name the proper contract over here. We will say or maybe okay. Once you select this name and then the description, what will happen? Very good. Copy from contract. So guys, can any of you take a guess whether we should use this particular feature or not? What do you think, guys? Copy from contract we should use over here? Okay, I think most of you are saying no. Can any of you take a guess why no? Yeah, sort of. We are creating a new contract over here only with reference to RFP. Generally, I will tell you this copy from contract option where you will use. So let's say most of the buyer generally have their similar requirement over there. So what they will do, instead of filling up all these particular fields, they will just select one of their old contract which they have created. All the data will be copied from their old contracts into the new contracts. Whichever data they want to change, they will change it over here. But here in this process, we will never use copy from project. Why? Because remember, the copy from project or copy from contract is generally used when you are creating a contract without reference to RFP. That means you are just creating a contract out of nowhere. In that position, you can use this copy from contract. But here, all of our data is coming from where? It is coming from our RFP and nothing else. So our data is coming from RFP over here, and here if I copy from another old contract, what will happen? All those data which is coming from RFP will be erased by my old contract data. So this will totally nullify my process. So always remember, whenever you're creating a contract from your RFP, never use this copy from contract option. Yes, Diksha, it is possible. You can create a contract without reference to RFP also. But remember, that is an ad hoc kind of process. Ad hoc process means what? Generally the exceptional process generally which will happen. One time procurement or one time process over there you are going to do. In that scenario, you can create a contract for one time consumption you are going to use it, you can create. But for normal day-to-day contracts, you will do it for let's say 2 years, 3 years. Okay, this particular contracts will be always created from the sourcing project. Okay, so always remember guys, this is also one of the favorite question of the interviewers. Okay, in which scenario you are going to use copy from contract? Most of the participant will say in all scenario, but the answer is only when you are creating a contract without reference of RFP, then you can use copy from contract. Else, don't use the copy from contract. Okay. Next option, test project. So I think guys, I think all of you can recall what is a test project, right? What is the meaning of test project, guys? I think we have understood the concept of test project in RFP on a sourcing project. Correct. If test project is equal to yes, that means final mail will not go to the supplier. Okay, and if it is no, final mail will go to the supplier. That's it. All the process is similar, and generally we use it in our production system, not in development system. This one, yeah, correct. No, sort of. Don't think about no email notification. Some email notification will go. Okay, but the final email notification saying the contract has been awarded to the supplier and this is the full-fledged contract, this email notification will not go to the supplier. Okay, one notification will go that you are taking part in the contract, that will go anyhow, but the final mail will not go to the supplier. Always remember this thing. Same thing for the sourcing project also. They are going to receive a mail that yes, they have been added to a RFP sourcing project. Supplier will get that mail, but supplier will never get a mail saying that you have been awarded the sourcing project. That is the concept of test project over here. Okay, next is combined spend. What do you mean by combined spend over here? So guys, can you just confirm over to me that whether have you heard the term Ariba prepackaged reports? Have anybody heard the term Ariba prepackaged reports? Okay. Okay, I think one of the answer was very good over here. Yes, from me. Okay. So just a moment, guys. Yeah. So basically, prepackaged report means it's a combination of standard reports which are generally uh, given by SAP Ariba for your reporting purposes. Generally, who will use this thing? The client's higher management. Okay. So all this sourcing, contracting, PR, PO, all those things can be their details and summarized view can be seen within the Ariba prepackaged reporting. Okay. So you might be asking next, Manoj, that you might be asking guys that Manoj, what is the next thing? Like what will happen in the combined spend and why you're talking about prepackaged reports over here? So guys, the concept of combined spend is like combined spend is one of the most important field which is generally displayed where in the reporting section. It will show you the total sum of or value of all the contracts in each year within the reporting section. Okay, so if you click on combined spend is equal to yes, then what will happen? Obviously the contract will be coming in the reporting section and the value of the contract will be added in the combined spend value field. And most of the other people participate generally think if you click on combined spend is equal to no, your contract is not going to appear in your reporting section. No, it is not true, guys. If you click on no also, still the contract will be showing within your contract reporting, but its value will not be added to the combined spend value over there. Okay, so that is the difference over here, nothing else. But the combined spend is generally used for what? For your reporting purposes. Now once again you can see base language is coming as English, supplier is also coming over here. How guys, how it is coming? Similarly you can see commodity code and region is also coming over here automatically. From where it is coming? Correct, that means from the RFP, that means from the sourcing project all these values are coming. Very good. Okay, now what is the concept of affected parties? You will be saying, Manoj, supplier is supplier ANZ new. Okay, totally agree. Why affected parties? Same name is coming once more. So remember this thing, guys. In big concerns, some sourcing project and contracting will be done. So it will be of huge value. One supplier generally cannot take part in all of this particular thing. Then what will happen? They will be forming joint ventures. 2 or 3 suppliers will be added over there. One will be having a majority stake, others will be having a minority stake. Now, generally in Ariba, what will happen then? You will be creating another supplier for joint ventures. But generally in your contract, this is the legal document, the major partner name, minor partner name will not come. What name will come? Joint venture supplier name will come. So if any legal case arises, what will happen? The majority stakeholder will be taken to the court. And what Ariba has noticed is like majority of the time the issues will be committed by the minor suppliers, minor stakeholders. Majority supplier will be saying that, hey, it is not my work. This guy has left. What I can do? Even I am also suing him. So to avoid this particular thing, what Ariba has given is like, okay, let's say L&T Technologies is there. Okay, we will take L&T, Larsen and Toubro. Along with that, we are also going to take, let's say another Japanese firm is there, Kawasaki. Both of them have formed a joint venture. So what I will do, in the affected parties, I will say L&T Kawasaki joint venture in the supplier main. In the affected parties, I will select L&T as the first supplier party. Second party is Kawasaki Industries. So what will happen now? So basically what will happen over here is like automatically both the supplier will get added. That means legal agreement will be covering both the suppliers over here and nothing else. It means legally you are giving this option to the client to not only prosecute the majority stakeholder but also the minority stakeholder. Okay, so that is the concept of affected parties. So whenever joint ventures will be used, at that time affected parties will be different from supplier. For all other one supplier scenario or non-joint venture supplier scenario, supplier and affected parties will be same, nothing else. Okay, and the next thing is basically we use the contract amount over here, not the proposed contract amount over here. So here let's say what is the total value we will put? 1 million. Why? Because this was also the total value for our sourcing project. Proposed contract amount, it's not an important thing. It's not required at all. Okay. Yeah. Guys, just give me some, 3-4 minutes over here. I'm getting an urgent call. Just give me 3-4 minutes. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Guys, am I audible to all of you? Yeah. So, there is some questions from the participants. The questions are like, why the total contract amount over here we are entering manually? So always remember this thing, guys. When you will working in a proper production environment, at that time, if you are creating this contract from the sourcing project, the automatic total amount which you have mentioned in the sourcing project will come over here automatically. But if you're working in a development system, this particular thing will not come automatically. You have to enter this thing manually. Okay. And I think there's another question: what's the difference between proposed amount and the contract amount? So basically, contract amount is the main amount over here. This is where we will put our reference in. Proposed contract amount, I can put 1 billion also. It does not matter. Why? Because it's a proposal kind of thing. Even the contract amount which I have put over here, this can also be changed later on. Okay, so always remember, contract amount is the most important value or most important field within the contract, not the proposed contract amount. Proposed contract amount, you can say anything over here. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, now next, allow ad hoc spend. Now remember this thing, guys. As I was saying, contract amount, forget about proposed contract amount. I'm talking about contract amount. So in case of contract amount, when you can change this thing, when only if you click on allow ad hoc spend is equal to yes. That means what will happen, you have given 1 million right now. Okay, later on, if you want to increase the amount to $2 million, yes, you can do that. But if you click this thing as no over there, what will happen? There you have to not only change the version 1, but you have to edit this version and you have to create a version 2, then only the amount will get changed, else you cannot change it. In the same version, if you want to change, you have to click on allow ad hoc spend is equal to yes. Now what is the concept of version changes and all those things? Those things we will be having a look into the contract compliance. Why? Because when you will be consuming the contract, not right now, after publishing also you will not consume, you will move this contract through the contract compliance from upstream to downstream. There you will consume the contract. So always remember, if the contract amount is getting changed, mostly it will get changed when your consumption is starting or at a mid level. Then you decide that okay, 1 million is not enough, I have to increase it. Okay, so there allow ad hoc spend will come into the picture. If you click this thing as yes, then you don't need to create a version 2. You can totally increase this amount, only this amount. Documents you cannot change, line item you cannot add, delete. Okay, but if you want to change the amount, you can do it in the same version when you have clicked on the option as yes for allow ad hoc spend. If you have clicked on this option as no, then you cannot do anything in version 1. You have to edit and then you have to create a version 2. There you can change the amount. That's the meaning of allow ad hoc spend and nothing else. Now there's another important field over here which we should have a look at, that is hierarchical type. You can see there are 3 kinds of hierarchical type: standalone agreement, master agreement, sub agreement. Okay, just a moment. Yeah, so you can see there are 3 hierarchical type over here: standalone agreement, master agreement, and sub agreement over here. 3 agreement. So what is the meaning of 3 agreements over here? So basically, Standalone agreement means this contract is not created with any reference. And here reference does not means RFP, guys. So forget about RFP for the time being. That we have created this contract from RFP, forget about it. Standalone contract means this contract is a independent contract which is existing. Now, next two things you can see: master agreement and sub agreement. What do you mean by master agreement and sub agreement over here? So basically, master agreement means generally over here, you will have the same terms and condition. What do you mean by this particular master agreement over here? Basically, let me tell you a scenario over here. Let's say you are belonging from HR department, another you are belonging from marketing department. Okay, so your HR departments decide that this is the general terms and condition which is to be satisfied for all the contract which is being created for the HR department. So what you will do, you will create a master agreement. Now this particular master agreement contract does not have any line item at all, any price related thing, it won't be there. Only things which will be there is the terms and condition, generalized terms and conditions. Okay, so once you do the master agreement with the general terms and condition, where you will use it? You will use it in the sub agreement. So think of master agreement as a parent agreement, all the sub agreement is a child agreement. So let me give you an example. At HR level, you decide that the along with the terms and condition, you will say the price limit for maximum price limit for any contract in HR department is 1 million. So whenever you are creating a sub agreement, okay, what will happen is like automatically that condition will be applied on all your child agreement, that means sub agreements. You cannot create a $1.1 million contract. So always remember, master agreement are generally a template kind of thing. It does not have any price, it does not have the real data. Only thing is like it will have terms and conditions. And remember, master agreement generally will be created only once for each department. Okay, so once you have created this master agreement for HR, marketing, IT, this department, what you will do, you will create a child agreement over there. And when you will click on a sub agreement over there, see parent agreement is coming. Which agreement you will put in this parent agreement, guys? Any guess? Which agreement you're going to select over here? Correct. So here, whenever you will select hierarchical type as sub agreement, parent agreement will always be the master agreement. Always remember this thing, guys. Now, why you will do this thing? I will give you an example. Now, let's say if you're working with SAP. So as a supplier, SAP is saying, hey, I have a SAP Ariba implementation project. Can you do this thing? I will need this resources for this much amount of time. So as a supplier, what you will do? You have to sign a master agreement first with SAP. Master agreement means what? General terms and condition. There won't be anything related to the amount, the price, and the scope of work for your project. Always remember this thing. Then you will be asking, Manoj, where it will be? It will be present within the sub agreement. In the sub agreement, what will happen is like there only the project related terms and conditions and project related amount and all the stuff will be there. So that is how the concept of master and sub agreement is existing. Always remember, master agreement is one agreement per department. It cannot be created more than one. Second thing is like sub agreement will always refer to the master agreement. Now take a guess, guys, which agreements mostly which agreement generally are used in SAP Ariba, whether the sub agreement or the standalone agreement. Take a guess, guys. In percentage, if you try to take a guess, which agreement are more in number, whether sub agreement or standalone agreement? Actually, it is wrong, guys. It is not sub agreement. It is mainly standalone agreement. Why? The next question should be why, Manoj? Because what you will do in contract template configuration? In contract template configuration also, contract template will be created based on the department. And within each of these department based contract templates, you will be putting the standard or generalized terms and condition. That particular document you will update anyways. Once you do this thing, where is the need for master agreement? There's no need. So always remember, a good functional guy will understand when to use the sub agreement or master agreement and when to use the template. So always remember, our template configuration, if you know about this thing in a proper way, you don't need master and sub agreement at all. Standalone agreement is the only thing which will work. Why? Because you can do all the things of parent and sub agreement within the template itself. But for that, you should know what are the different things you have to do within the template configuration. In the template configuration also, you can do whatever you do, you will do in the master agreement. And whenever you will select that particular template and the contract will get created, by default, the contract terms and condition will be copied from your template. And think of the template as nothing but your master agreement. It will work properly. So most of the time, generally, we will select the standalone agreement. Now, if your functional consultant is not having these particular options, they don't know how to configure these templates. So then they will suggest to the client to use master agreement and sub agreement over there. But there is no need for that. Always remember this thing. And this is one of the questions over here, which is generally asked by the client. This is generally not asked by your project companies, or means like the service companies. This is generally asked by the clients. They will tell you about the scenario and then they will ask you whether I will use standalone agreement or sub agreement, which one. So remember, whatever may be the scenario, if you know how to configure the contract template configuration, and this template configuration will always depend upon department, you don't need the master agreement. It's always optional. Okay, keep this thing in mind, guys. Now once we have seen this thing, some date related thing we have to give, right? The first one is agreement date. Then the agreement date, we will put today's date. Effective date, this is the most important thing, that it will be effective from when. Today you can say that today I am doing an agreement between the buying organization and the supplier. Well and good. But the thing is like, this particular buying organization and the supplier contract will be effective from next week. Next week means 8 July 2019. So today you have done the agreement, you have signed on the agreement, but it will be effective from 8 July. So always remember, effective date is the most important date over here, not the agreement date. Okay, why? Because it will come into the legal force from 8th July, not from 7th July. So that is why effective date is the most important thing. And expiration date, generally we will give 1 year down the line. Okay, next is the notice period. What do you mean by notice period? Notice period generally means like 20 days before 7th July 2020. What will happen? A mail will be triggered to the RFP creator. Who is the RFP creator? My ID. In my ID, I will be receiving a mail 20 days before 7 July 2020 saying this contract is going to expire. If you wish to extend it, please extend it, or please ignore the mail. So that is the concept of notice period. It is just used for notification purpose and nothing else. But in the term type, you can see it is a mandatory field and there is a drop down option. There are three things which is coming into the picture: fixed, perpetual, auto renew. So what do we mean by a fixed concept over here, or perpetual auto renew? Fixed means if you select this thing as fixed, that means these are the effective date and these are the expiration date. It will not change automatically. If you want to change it, you have to change it manually. Next one is perpetual. Now perpetual means this expiration date which you have given, it does not have any value. That means what? That means this contract is never going to expire. So guys, this is another important question. This is not generally asked by the client, but this is asked in the interview. Which contract type should always be selected as perpetual contract? So can any of you take a guess, guys? No. I sort of I did not say no contract. I did not say any contract. I said contract type. Which contract type should be perpetual? Correct. Correct, guys. Remember this one, master agreement. Master agreement does not have any expiry. Why? Because you will use this master agreement. It is same like template. Once you have done a template, you are not going to delete a template. Any changes required in the template, what you are going to do, you are going to edit it, create a second version, do the changes, and it is done. But you will not delete the template over there. Similarly, master agreement, you will not delete it. It will not have any expiration. If you want to change it, you have to change that particular master agreement. That is the concept of perpetual. So always remember, only for master agreement it will be perpetual, not for any other thing. Okay. Now the next one is auto renew. Now this is very important. This is also part of SAP Ariba's automation process over here. So SAP Ariba is asking you, okay, the main expiration date is 7 July 2020. But if I want to extend this contract automatically, can I do it? Yes, you can do it. You can say 6 months, and here you can put 2 times of renewal. That means what? On 7th July 2020, system will come and check what is the term type. It will find out the term type is auto renew. Then it will check how many renewals to do. It will see 2 times I have to do the renewals. Okay, so on 7 July 2020, the first renewal will be triggered, and the first renewal is for how many months? 6 months. That means 7th January 2021 is the new expiration date on 7 July 2020. Now when 7th January 2021 will come, once again Ariba will come over here and it will see how many number of renewals is pending. Only one. Then again Ariba will trigger the last renewal on 7 January 2021. And here once again what will happen? Plus 6 months will happen. So now the new expiration date is 7th July 2021. So that is how the auto renew will work. Okay, so that is the concept of auto renew. But guys, tell me one thing, when you will use the auto renew concept, for which supplier specifically? Can any of you take a guess? Correct. That means default supplier. Default supplier means what? Default supplier means, let's say for the first time, basically preferred supplier. Yeah, that means first time this supplier has won a awarding. This supplier also done a contract, and the contract delivery has been done properly for the first year. Next time, once again, when this particular supplier is again participating in another RFP event, and this supplier has won the RFP or the sourcing project, you are doing a contract second time for this supplier. So then what you will know, you will have a better understanding of this supplier. You will say, okay, I know about this supplier. This supplier is very good. What I'm going to do, I will not, although the expiration date for the contract is within 1 year, but I will use the concept of auto renew. So always remember, when a supplier has completed their whole process, that means one time they have done the sourcing, they have been qualified, and they have done the contracting part. Next time when they are going and doing this thing, at that time buyers will generally use the concept of auto renew and nothing else. Okay, so this is the concept of auto renew, and remember, it will only happen for preferred supplier over here and nothing else. Okay, so once this particular thing has been done, what next we have to do, we have to select the template. So generally we select any of the standard template over here, contract workspace. So once you select this template over here, you will see two questions coming over here. The first question is, will you use supplier paper? So I think most of you will be wondering, Manoj, hey, what's the meaning of supplier paper? We are doing everything here through what? Through electronically. Why I'm going to use paper, and that too of a supplier? So what do you think, guys? Ah, correct. So supplier paper over here means legal document, or in other terms, here instead of your terms and condition, that means buying organization terms and condition, if you select this option as yes, will you use supplier paper as yes, that means you're saying rather than our company's terms and condition, we will give preference to the supplier terms and condition over here. So what will happen, supplier will give you a document with their own terms and condition. That particular terms and condition you will update over here rather than using your own terms and condition. In rare cases you do use it, okay, but in most of the cases we don't give this particular option. Okay, so this will always be no. Next question, does this contract require visibility of a VP? That means system is asking you, okay, we have one approval workflow. That workflow is coming as a standard from the part of your contract template. Do you want to trigger another approval workflow where only vice president will be there? So in that scenario, either you can choose yes or no. But remember, guys, if you choose yes over here, what will happen? There will be two approval tasks. Generally, we try to avoid it. So generally, we will keep this thing as no. If vice president approval is required, what we will do? We will create a, or we will basically edit the workflow approval within the workflow approval task within the contract template. There, I can put the fourth level as vice president also. No need for taking this particular task once again. Yeah, correct, Tanmay. Approval task in template. So if you select this thing as yes, there will be two approval tasks within the contract. So you don't need to do that. Once you do the proper configuration of approval task in the template, there only within the same task, one task only, you can put all your approvals. Okay, so once you have selected this thing, you have to click on create. Now, once you click on create, always select the second option, create pricing term Excel document. Why? Because as I said before, all the pricing related and item related information will go into the Excel document. All the terms and condition related things will be coming into your Word document. So always select this option, second one over here. Okay, I think there is some issue with this particular thing. Just a moment. Don't select the later one. Select the first one only. Click on OK. Okay. Now our contract has got created. Okay. On this part, Prem, yes, you can do a amount based approval level also, but remember, for that, as I said before, what you have to do, you have to create custom approval task. You have to copy the standard approval task and you have to do a custom approval task, and there you have to put different condition. If price is between 10 to 50,000 USD, these are the approval task which you have to do. From 50,001 to 100,000 USD, this is the custom task. Like this you have to use, but within the task you cannot give a condition on the price and declare different approvals. That is not possible in upstream. Why? Because as I said, upstream is basically a task, okay, and nothing else. Okay, so always remember this thing. But in downstream, the first thing is like I will be showing you that is the difference over there. All of these things can be done in the downstream, and you don't need to create different tasks over there. Okay, so this is basically the contract, and this is basically the contract ID which has been getting created. But remember guys, this ID is not important to us. Why? Because this is a upstream only contract ID. The contract compliance ID which will get generated, that is important to us. Why? Because that particular ID will go to the downstream, not this one. Okay, now if you scroll down a little bit in the overview tab, you can see a lot of information coming over here. Hierarchical type, contract amount, supplier, term type, and all those things. So whatever we have given in the creation of the contract screen, it is coming over here automatically. Similarly, the predecessor project is also coming over here. So generally, once we are in the contract screen present within the contract, what we do over here, generally the first task is a document task over here. So here we have to do the document authoring. Once we do the document authoring, we have to complete the authoring task. Then only we can go to the task and we have to complete all of these tasks. Each of these tasks is having different meaning. Once you complete this task, then only your contract will be published. Okay, nothing else. So always remember, in Ariba contracts, there is two tasks. First task is document authoring. Second task is document publishing, or basically contract publishing. Publishing means what? You will be completing all the tasks which has been generated within this contract. Okay, these are the two steps which we have to do over here and nothing else. Okay, so guys, let us do one thing. Let's take a break over here. I think I have to go for a drinks break over here. Okay, so I will urge all of you that if you want to take a small break, please take a break, and after the break we are going to see the contract authoring mostly, and if we have time then we will go for task, or else we will go for a question answer session over there. Okay, yeah, so let's take a break over here guys. If some of you want to take a break also over here guys, we can take a break. This will be of around 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, yeah, thanks guys. Excuse me, guys. Guys, are you able to hear me? Yeah, thanks for the confirmation. So when we are talking about authoring, so first of all, let me tell you a little bit brief things about authoring first, then we will try to understand what is authoring and how to do it. So first of all, if you're currently working with uh, if you're currently working with contract management in Ariba, you will see the contract authoring is very, very easy. It's not a tough thing which you will be seeing over here. Why? Because the technology has changed considerably. So if I say about technology, what do we mean by technology over here? So technology means generally from 2018 onwards, most of the client generally use ECA. What is the meaning of ECA over here, guys? Meaning of ECA over here is enhanced contract authoring. That means it is pretty easy to download a document, upload a document, and to edit and document as well. Okay, but previously, that means from 2016, 2017, 2015, at that time, if you would have gone and implemented Ariba contract management, so you'd see the contract authoring was one of the most toughest thing in the whole contract management process. Why? Because at that time there was no ECA, that means enhanced contract authoring. There was one thing which was called as DFS. What do you mean by DFS? Generally, DFS stands for desktop file syncing. So remember this thing, guys. DFS is an obsolete technology right now, but still some client who has implemented Ariba contract management in 2012, 2013 till 2017, they're still using it. But slowly, they will also move into ECA. But right now, if you go for implementation, you will work with ECA. But you need to have a little bit of understanding what's the difference between DFS and ECA. So you will see in DFS, there what will happen is like you will be working with only one browser. And what is that particular browser? Internet Explorer. Why? Because DFS will be using ActiveX objects over there. What do we mean by ActiveX objects over here? ActiveX objects generally means that it will be using the technology of IE11 to let you download and upload the document as well as edit the document as well. This thing generally is not required to be done in ECA. So then why lot of clients were facing issue? Due to two things. First of all, you can only work with IE, Internet Explorer only. Most of the European client and US client, they will be using either Chrome or Safari. Safari is for the, basically for the Apple users, right? So there was a lot of issues. Why? Because most of the clients, European and US client, they will say, I will use Chrome or I will use Safari. I cannot implement, install Internet Explorer. I won't be able to do contract authoring. Then what's the use of contract management over there? So that is why Ariba came with this new solution, which is called as ECA. ECA can run fine in Mozilla Firefox, Chrome, Safari, as well as Internet Explorer 2. You don't need these ActiveX settings and all. And previously also, excuse me, apart from the Internet Explorer 11, you need to have a admin authority. Admin authority over what? Over your system. Now, I think most of you are belonging from, one or the other MNC companies. So you will be sometimes you will be using the desktop or sometimes you will be using laptop. So most of you can, you know, relate with it when I will say very few people will get the admin access to their office laptop or office desktop. They will get access, certain access, but they will never get the admin access. So if you don't have the admin access, even though you can have IE11, but still DFS will not work. So there are two things which is required. One is IE11 mandatorily, and the second thing is you need to have an admin access. Then only DFS will work. So that is why Ariba moved on from DFS to ECA right now. From 2018 onwards, any project which is happening, they are using ECA. Okay. Excuse me. So that is what the little difference which we have seen earlier and now between the earlier version of Ariba and current version of Ariba over here. So first of all, what is our activity over here within the contract authoring? So first of all, if you click on this contract document, what is this? This is coming from your where? This is coming from your template, pricing as well as main agreement. So if you download this main agreement, you will see nobody has uploaded anything within this main agreement. So what you have to do, you have to add your terms and conditions over here, and then you have to replace this main agreement with your updated main agreement. Similarly, this pricing also, if you download, it will be totally empty. Nothing will be present over here. Why? Because pricing cannot be entered at a template level. It has to be entered at a contract level. But if I click on the pricing terms over here and check over here, just a moment. Okay, let me just increase the font. I can see the information. I can see the information over here. What information basically, guys? The item level information. Laptop with high performance, unit of measurement is each, unit price is 3083.49 euros. Okay, 39 is the UNSPC code. How much quantity is required? 50 quantity. Okay, all of this stuff is coming into this Excel. From where? Excuse me. It is coming from your RFP. Automatically it is coming. So what you have to do, you have to replace this pricing Excel with this pricing terms Excel. So first of all, before we do this thing, I think you should ask me, guys, that Manoj, why pricing is present? Why pricing term is also present? So guys, first of all, why pricing term is present? Because since we created this contract from the RFP, all the line item related information, price related information has been copied from the RFP into contract through the pricing term. If you would have created a standalone contract means without any reference to RFP, this pricing terms.xls would have not come over here. Okay. The next thing you will be asking me is like, Manoj, what is the usage of pricing? What is the usage of pricing? So basically, the pricing means what? Pricing means over here that whenever you're working with a standalone system over here, standalone means the contract has not been created from an RFP. So there what will happen is like you have to enter all the pricing as well as line item related information where within this pricing.xls. So that is why, guys, the template which you will be configuring, you will not be configuring for contract which will be created from the RFP reference. but also the contract which is created without the reference of RFP. So that is why our first job over here is to replace the pricing with pricing terms. Why? Because this is empty. So how we can replace this document over here? You have to click on this part, pricing. Once you click on this particular pricing part over here, then there is a thing called as replace document. But before that, what you have to do, you have to download this pricing terms. Copy this thing over here and paste it over here. Rename it in your desktop, only rename it new pricing terms. Okay. Now open your Ariba system. Click on the pricing. Click on replace document. Okay. And here what I will do, I will write a description. Updated price and item info from RFP. Okay. Then I will click on choose file. And where I will go, I will select new pricing terms over here. And I will click on replace. Once this option is coming, always select the second one. Why? Because the third one means another file if you want to choose, you can use. And the first one is, it will not change the original document. So basically, if you use the first option over there, what will happen? Within the same version, another document will be coming in the place of the first document. Always remember, whenever you are working with any documents in SAP Ariba, always carry out the changes in the next version. Don't do everything in first version. Okay. Similarly, replace the document by uploaded file you have selected. Click on OK. Next, a version will come. So by default, as you can see, I have chosen the second version. That is why it is coming as yes, save as v2. If I would have chosen the first version, it would have come within this. Never ever do it. Why? Because since this is a web-based thing, everything is happening in the background through cookie. Suppose there is a problem with your internet connection. What will happen? There is a cookie issue. What will happen? The document which you're loading, it will become what? It will become corrupted. And once it become corrupted, what next? You won't be able to retrieve that document. Okay, so that is why it is always mandatory to save any changes which you're doing in the next version, not in the same version. Okay, so once you have saved it as v2, click on save. Now you will see the pricing.xls has been replaced by new pricing term. And if you click on this one, you will see the data from the RFP is clearly visible over here. Let me do one thing. Let me just increase the font. See, it is coming over here automatically. So that is the first task which you have to do. That is replacing of the pricing with pricing terms.xls. And once it has been done, what next you have to do? You have to click on the pricing term and you have to delete this document. Why? Because you don't need this document anymore. Okay. Now, since we have updated our pricing terms over there, I will click on this one and I will click on publish. So guys, can any of you take a guess that, okay, I have updated each and everything over here. Let's say the first document, new pricing term, but why I am publishing it? See, the publish status is being shown over here. Why is the requirement for publishing? Any idea, guys, or any views? Remember one thing, No, not for the approvals, guys. Not for the approvals. Actually, once you publish the document over here, what next you have to do is like you have to take out the document and you have to send it to the supplier through email. Why? Although terms and condition and prices has been previously agreed, but still you have to take a confirmation from the supplier. Otherwise, what will happen? You will complete these documents, you will complete on the task. After complete publishing the contract, supplier say, hey, I don't agree with this terms and condition. What will happen? There will be a lot of manual activities. So that is why what Ariba is saying is like, once you have published both this document, you have to download this document. This document has to be sent to the supplier. Supplier has to agree to that. Once supplier agree, then only you can come to the task section, that is on the third tab, and you can complete the task, and then the contract will be published. So always remember this thing. That is why published status is mandatory, and there's another linking also for that. I will be explaining you that shortly, why the published status is required. Otherwise the next set of tasks cannot be completed. That also I will cover. Just give me a few moments over that. But before that, main agreement is totally empty. What you will do? You will have a main agreement like this. So first of all, guys, this main agreement, from where you will get it? Any guess? Correct. From client, or you can also say from legal team of the client also, but mainly from the client only. This basically terms and conditions will be given by your client. And as we have used one template over here, that guy who has configured the template, that guy has forgotten to do the main thing, that is updating the terms and condition over there. Why? Because by default Ariba's template will not have any terms and condition. So as a part of our configuring the template, first we have to update the main agreement with our terms and condition from the client. So always remember, once you download this terms and agreement, it will not appear empty. It will have some 10-15 terms and condition. Those are general terms and condition which is accepted or which is given from the client side. Now then he will be asking you, Manoj, okay, this 14-15 terms and condition is there, that is more than enough, I will just publish this particular terms and agreement. And I will say no. Why? Because guys, you are procuring what through this contract? Laptop with high end performance. Let us say, suppose you want to put a question, new condition or new term, basically, that the supplier will provide in-house service for the next 2 financial years. What do you think? This particular terms can, terms and condition can be updated within the template? We can't. Why? Because one contract will be there for laptop, another contract will be there for the monitor, another contract will be there for some office stationery. How can I can put specific terms and condition over there? So always remember, whenever you're working in a contract, general terms and condition will be available, but you have to download those things. Along with the general terms and condition, you have to add your specific terms and condition. This is the activity which you will do in main agreement at the contract level, not at the contract template level. At the contract level, you are going to add specific terms and condition into this particular agreement. Like you will be saying, hey, I don't need this particular what you can say data at all. This particular line. But what I need over here is like, just a moment, I think it is coming like this. Okay. What I need over here is like, supplier has to provide in-house warranty for laptops for 2 financial years. Now this basically, this particular condition, terms and condition which I have added right now, this is specific terms and condition. Now once I click on save over here, what we will do over here, I will come over here, I will click on main agreement, and I will replace this document once more. Why? Because I have updated this thing. So here I will write updated terms and conditions for contract specific requirement. I will click on the choose file, and what I will do, I will choose the main agreement over here. Click on replace, select the first one over here, obviously. Click on OK. Yes, once again save as V2. Click on save. Now, if you download this main agreement, you will see all this data is coming. And see, just a moment. See, same terms and agreement is coming over here, and whatever we have updated over here, service warranty, that is also available over here within our terms and condition. Now once we update this same thing over here, what I'm going to do is like I'm going to publish this thing. Now remember, once both of this document is published, then only you can go to the task section. Now here you will see, guys, that this task is related to, related or associated with some document. Which document? Main agreement, new pricing terms. So main agreement. So what are those things? See, main agreement, new pricing terms over here. So always keep in mind, you cannot complete this task. Means like, you just cannot click on this task and mark as complete until and unless you have published this document. So that is why I said, guys, the first task is the authoring task. The second thing which you're going to put more effort is what? Is it is for the task related thing. That means if you don't publish it, you cannot complete the task. That's the first thing. And second thing is like, once you publish this document, that means any changes which is required to be done from the buyer's end has been done. Now supplier just has to give a confirmation. So that is why always remember, contract authoring is the first job which you need to do within the contract management. Then only you can go ahead with the task completion. So until and unless you complete that thing, task completion cannot be done. Okay, guys. Now, once we are in the task section over here, see, most of the thing is pretty easy. You will click on mark complete. It will have a tick, checkbox over here, a tick mark over here. That means a task has been complete. Similarly, prepare main agreement. We have already prepared the main agreement. We have updated the main agreement and we have published the main agreement. So what I will click? I will click on mark complete, and system will let you do it. Why? Because the main agreement is published. Similarly, prepare contract pricing. Our new pricing terms is the document. New pricing terms, I have updated it and I have published it. So I will click on mark as completed. Review the main agreement, that has already been done. I will mark this as complete. Now the task which you are saying, the supply negotiation, this is one of the most important tasks. Why? Why it is a very important task? So always remember one thing over here, guys, that the contract compliance is the only place in SAP Ariba where you can give tiered pricing. Tiered pricing means what? Supplier can say, if you take 10,000 quantity from me at once, that means if you create a PO against the contract of 10,000 quantity, I will give you 5% discount. Next, if you order 20,000 quantity from me, I will give you 10% discount. If you order 30,000 quantity from me, I will give you 15% discount. If you order 40,000 quantity from me, I will give you 20% discount. Like this. These are called as tiered pricing. This part can only be handled in Ariba contract compliance, not anywhere else. So that is why supply negotiation is very, very important over here. Why? Because in supply negotiation, you will be taking all this information from the supplier. Why? Because tiered pricing cannot be determined by whom? By your buyer only. It has to be agreed both by buyer as well as supplier. Both has to agree. So once both will agree, then only you can work with that. Okay. Yeah. Now, so let us click on supply negotiation. Click on view task detail. Okay. So what you can say is like, you can select a reviewer over here. Okay. And you can put I can put my ID over here as the approver, and I can click on submit. So, okay. So here what I will do, I will click on view task detail now. Okay. And here see, this particular thing is coming as mark completed, but we will not do mark completed directly over here. What we will do, we will go into the negotiation flow, and in the negotiation flow it is showing this particular user has to approve, then only supply negotiation will happen. So let me just refresh the screen once again. Why? Because in contract approval flow, this will always happen, what you can say, this will always happen after some refreshing. Oh, I think it came, complete review has been came over here. Okay, it has came over here. So generally most of the time, since this is not production system, guys, always remember, whenever some sourcing related approval, contract related approval, contract compliance related approval will be there, you have to refresh the screen by pressing F5, or sometimes you have to go to the home page, refresh the screen twice, then you have to come back to the document, then only you will find that particular approval options. So here generally what we do here, first of all, always remember, in the supply negotiation part, what you will do is like, you will be taking both of these two documents and you will be sending it to the supplier. Supplier will be having a look at the documents, and then what will happen? Then supplier will say, okay, I accept both of this document. Then you will tell to the supplier, okay, now let's say I want you to give a little bit more discount. Can you give me more discount? If you will ask this question to the supplier, and supplier will say, okay, I will give conditional discount. Conditional discount means what? That if you order from me this much amount of quantity or this much amount at one go, then only I'm going to give you discount. So that particular thing is called as tiered pricing. So supplier will send those tiered pricing, and you also have to agree with them. If you don't agree, supplier cannot help over there. So both supplier and buyer has to agree on that part, and all these things has to be attached over here. Remember, here you will not do any attachment, main agreement and new pricing term. In add attachment, you will add all those stuff over here. The tiered pricing and the confirmation and all those stuff over here. Why? Tiered pricing will be required in contract compliance. So when we will go to contract compliance, most of the participants generally forgets that we have taken the tiered pricing from the supplier, which has been agreed between the buyer and supplier both over here. So they will start asking, Manoj, I will be giving the discount from my own mind as a buyer. Then I will say no. So then they will ask, okay, so supplier also has to agree to it. Well, yes. So where supplier has agreed, so here supplier has agreed over here, guys. So always remember, this particular task is where you will capture all this information. Now, all this thing has been there, very good. But there are some other things also which will come into the picture. Okay, the exceptional process. Now, exceptional process is like, now let's say you have given 1,000 quantity in the RFP. Okay, supplier has given you the quotation. Now, let's say somehow while you are doing this contract, your company is coming to you and saying, hey, increase the quantity from 1,000 to 10,000 or maybe 50,000. What are you going to do? Are you going to create a RFP over there? Why? Because your company will say like, hey, I don't want to waste any more time. So if your company is saying that they want to increase the quantity from 1,000 to 50,000 without doing an RFP, how you will do, guys? Any guess? So you can do it over here, guys. So you will be asking me, Manoj, how? Then I will be saying to you, remember this thing, guys, that supplier has given some price, and based on the price only, this supplier has been chosen as L1, and this supplier has been awarded the bidding RFP. Now, if your quantity is increasing from 1,000 to 10,000, what will happen is like you will say to the supplier, boss, you have to agree to our discount. Why? Because we are increasing our orders. So once you do that, what will happen? Supplier will give you more discount options. That will also come in the form of tiered pricing also. So always remember, sometimes these things happen. Not always. Not always it will happen, but sometimes it do happen. So there also you can take care of these things in the supply negotiation part. So that is why supply negotiation part is the most important task ever within the contract management. Why? Because not only you will capture the supplier consent over here, not only you will capture the supplier tiered pricing consent over the tiered pricing details over here, but if your requirement changes drastically and it's an urgent change, you can further negotiate over here. Okay. Just a moment. Cancel and click on OK. Okay, just a moment. Let me refresh it once more. Then I think we can do it. Okay, click on mark complete. Okay, done. Now next is the final approval. Now click on the view task detail. Now whoever you have put as approver will come over here. So here you can see only one approver is present, one level of approver is present, and that is contract approver over here. I will click on submit. Okay, and I will once again go back to the screen. I will press F5. I will refresh the screen. Once again, come to the contract, and I will click on this final approval. Now, once I'm clicking on this final approval, see I'm getting this option approve and deny over here. So I will click on approve, and I will click on approved. Okay. Now you can see the final approval has been approved, and I will click on execute agreement, and I will click on mark complete. That means on the top, if you notice, task will be showing as incomplete task as 0. That means what? That means you have published the contract over here. But where you have published the contract, guys? So any guess where we have published this contract? We have published the contract in upstream part only. So actually it is not fully published. That means what? That means it is not available in downstream. So until and unless it is available in downstream, the full publishing has not happened over here. So until unless we complete the contract compliance process and publish the contract compliance document, this contract will not be fully published. Right now it is published, but only in upstream. Okay, so this is, guys, the basically the contract management process which we are talking about over here. So any questions you are having, please raise your hands. We are going to take your queries one by one. Guys, am I audible to all of you? Okay, yeah, thanks guys for the information. Yeah, Diksha, please go ahead with your query.
Yeah, Manoj, my first question is in the documents tab,
Yeah,
uh, this is in the main agreement. So as a
yeah,
consultant in the configuration template, we will be uploading the main agreement.
yeah. So basically in the template, we will both update the main agreement as well as the pricing, not the pricing term. Why? Because pricing term is coming from the RFP
Contract.
automatically.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the contract template, we will update the main agreement. The main agreement will be updated. How? We will take the new terms and condition from the client side, and that we will update it within the main agreement over here in the template. That's the first thing. Second thing, then you will asking, Manoj, what we will be doing in the pricing? Why? Because pricing is a specific thing. Specific thing means like we cannot do any configuration in the template. Why? Because in the pricing details, you can say laptop 2000 euros. You can also say printer 500 euros.
Hmm.
So what we will generally put in the pricing, there we will be putting the formatting, what field should be present over there and what you should update over there. That particular formatting we will put only in the contract template for pricing.
Okay. So when the contract manager or I mean, whoever is creating the contract for sourcing project on this screen will come to
Yeah.
the screen, they will go through the main agreement. If they think that the agreement that is coming from the configuration is fine,
Yeah.
then it's okay. Else they can add their few points or remove whatever as per their.
Exactly. So why? Because this will be mandatory for all the contract. Why? Because those are generalized terms and condition we have added. So whenever you are publishing a contract, you will be having some specific terms and condition for that specific contract. So that has to be mandatorily updated in the main agreement. So in all the contract, means like, when the contract manager will create a contract, or basically a contract agent will create a contract, main agreements will always be updated with specific terms and condition, and then only it will be published.
Okay. Okay, and the main agreement that is that is entered in the configuration template is
Mhm.
basically would be between a client and a specific supplier, or just the terms and conditions of the buying organization.
It is just general terms and condition of the buying organization. Why?
Okay.
Because specific buyer supplier terms and condition cannot be put within the template. Why? Because we don't know which suppliers will be there at the time of contract creation,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So that's
Yeah,
the
that
thing.
was fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
on this part, Diksha, so next Saturday we will be seeing the contract template configuration only. So all of those things which we are discussing over there, that these are the configuration steps which we will do, we'll see for real. So all of your doubts over there will get cleared, that how this main agreement documents you're going to change over there, how the pricing XLS will change over there, how you will configure the task over there. And if you have noticed one thing, guys, not only for you, Diksha, but for everybody, here the task is little bit different from sourcing project. Why? Because the task is linked to a document over here. So that means they're associated with a document. So how this task is different from a sourcing project task, we are going to discuss all of this thing, and we are going to see it within the system in next Saturday sessions. Yeah. Any other queries, Diksha?
No, that's all. Thanks.
Yeah. Welcome, Diksha. Just a moment, guys. Yeah. Tanmay, can you please go ahead with your query?
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
Tanmay. Yeah, Tanmay.
Yeah, so Manoj, like as we saw, there are multiple documents, like maybe in Excel format or Word
Hmm.
format. So
Yeah.
I mean, is there any predefined format? Is like, for example, the supplier would be providing us with negotiation terms for 10,000 items, 10%, and so on. So all the
Mhm.
stuff which is maintained in the Excel sheet or the for main agreement, it is maintained in the Word file. So is there any
Mhm.
predefined format for it, or like it's
Generally,
under? Yeah.
we don't prescribe format over here. Why? Because
Okay.
those tiered pricing and all those stuff, generally it will be captured in a separate document. It will not be updated in the pricing term, neither in the main agreements over there. But remember, main agreement and pricing term will be in Word and in Excel template format. It cannot be changed to PDF format. That's the first thing.
Correct.
Second thing,
Mhm.
all the things related to the supplier and buyer, they might add their own documents. So they will add in a separate place, not in the
Okay.
main agreement, not in the pricing term.xls. There they can put in a PDF format.
Correct. Correct.
They can
Correct.
use a
Correct.
text pad over there. So whatever format is supported by Ariba, generally Ariba will
Okay.
support a wide range of format. They can use any of the format over there.
So as you said, Manoj, this contract is still in upstream, right? After
Yeah,
we complete the contract compliance document and publish it, it would move on to the downstream part.
exactly.
So all this negotiation, terms and everything being maintained in Excel, how does Ariba pick it up for further processing? Say for
Yeah.
example, against a certain value contract, PO is there are n numbers of PO generated.
Mhm.
So I mean, the my question is, all these terms are maintained in some Excel file, right?
Yeah.
So
So
how does
basically, understand this thing, Tanmay. What will happen is like, see, this pricing, this tiered pricing. So ultimately, when we are
huh?
adding the contract compliance, we have to manually enter it within the system. Okay.
Oh
But
yeah, that was my question. Okay, okay,
yeah,
got it.
so that we have to enter it manually in the contract
Yeah,
compliance. You
yeah.
will see. I think next Sunday only we will be going into the contract compliance. So then you can see that thing. But
Okay, okay.
there is another question, another part of your question. And that part of your question is like, what about the terms and conditions?
Exactly. Yeah.
So terms and condition, generally it is present in the main agreement over there. Now this document will also be attached within your PO as well.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so then what will happen when this PO will go, terms and agreement will also be present within the PO. So those by default is being what you can say, implemented over the P2P process as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Say for
Any other
example, Manoj, one more question
yeah.
regarding the attachment. So supplier can attach anything, right? Say for example, there can be AutoCAD drawings or any that
Definitely.
all the stuff can be
Yeah,
attached here.
all those things are generally supported. See, even you even you can upload MP4 also over there, MP3
Okay.
files also, but there is, I think, a limit. The limit is
Uh-huh.
not more than 20 MB. It should not be not more than 20 MB.
Okay. Thank you, Manoj.
Yeah, welcome, Tarun.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a moment, guys. Yeah, sort of. Can you please go ahead with your query?
Can you hear me, Manoj, now? Hello?
Yeah, now I'm able to hear you, sort of.
Okay. So I have a few questions, Manoj. So regarding the very first question I had is, this is regarding that, just give me 1 minute. Let me pull that.
Yeah, no issues. Just that is why I will say to all of you guys that whatever questions you are having while looking at this document, type it in not type it, you can also use a notebook to write down your queries. Why? Because let me tell you one thing, even if I am learning something new, I will have a lot of questions, and sometimes if you wait for long, for the question answer session, it will get, I will forget some of the things. Sort of, I think your mic is no, sort of, we are not able to hear you. Your mic is not appearing over here. I think you need to connect once again with your earphone over here, or better, what you can do is like you can type in your queries. Why? Because we are not able to see your mic over here. Yeah. Yeah, please do connect, sort of. Yeah, meanwhile, Prem, you can please go ahead with your query.
Hello, hope you're able to hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. My question situation is that we currently do not use SLP, right? And we have a lot of MSAs that we already have tied up with with the multiple suppliers, right? In that scenario, let's assume I'm starting to use a sourcing module for new sourcing events. In that case, I would like to connect my this one contract to the existing MSA, the paper-based MSA which I have, which might be uploaded into the CMS just as a repository. So my question is, for completing a sourcing project, do I need to complete a contract in that sourcing project, or can I refer it to the existing master agreement which I have? Because the reason is that my pricing is all that I'm looking at the proposal. All the other terms and conditions I'm referring back to the MSA which I already have in place. How does that work?
So on this part, Prem, generally what you have to do is like you will still be requiring the sub agreement. You cannot work with MSAs. Why? Because in the MSAs, only terms and conditions is there, right? But in normal contract, what is the main thing? Main thing is the line item information. So basically, let's say you're procuring for laptop for 100 quantity. This is the price. This is the main information in a contract. So even if you do update in the MSA, you won't be able to update the price, and that price will never come into the sub agreement over there. So always remember, when you're doing this particular sourcing, there what you can do is like you can create a sub agreement, and within the sub agreement you can refer to the master agreement as the parent agreement. So what will happen, all the terms and conditions from your master agreement will come into your sub agreement, but the sub agreement will be your main contract over there. Why? Because master agreement generally we cannot move it through a contract compliance from Ariba upstream to Ariba downstream.
Okay, so which means that the pricing is taken from the proposal for the sub agreement, right?
Exactly. Sub agreement or standalone agreement.
Okay. So in that case, because let's assume I am only buying one particular software with one company, and that is the only software I'm buying, right? So which means if I transfer from upstream to the downstream, I am not doing multiple transactions in the downstream. In the case of laptops and this one, I agree that one upstream contract can have multiple downstream purchase orders, right?
No,
But in a
actually,
scenario where I have,
on this,
yeah,
on this thing, Prem, let me just clarify a
yeah,
little bit. So most of the time, the S2P process which you're going to do, that is source to pay process, over there, you will use a contract multiple times in downstream. So the
okay,
other scenario which you're talking about, that one time you're going to use the contract, so that is generally somewhere around 15% to 10%, and that particular process you will not create a PO, you will create a BPO, that is called as blanket purchase order.
yeah. No, I'm not. I'm okay. My situation is, let's assume I'm buying a software. Let's assume I'm buying Salesforce, right?
Huh.
And that
Okay.
Salesforce, let's assume it's a $1 million or $10 million purchase, and that
Yeah.
is a blanket purchase order which I'm making. It's not a line by line item purchase order, right?
Yeah.
So when we have this unlimited or an enterprise agreement, it means
Acha.
that
Huh.
this is only for a new renewal that goes year on year, right? It's not
Yeah.
going to be another transaction I do every
Yeah.
month or every 2 months. So
So
in such a situation,
in
yeah,
this case, you don't need to create a PO. You just need to create a BPO. In that BPO, what you will do for that particular contract, one BPO you will create. Only one time you will invest. Let's say every year you are going to renew the contract. So what you're going to do,
yes,
you are going to move this contract from upstream to downstream. Against the contract in downstream, you are going to create a one BPO only. And that particular BPO you will also renew along with the contract each year.
okay. And so which means the next year I don't need to go through the sourcing process. I just need to do a renewal process,
Exactly.
right?
Why? Because ultimately your source of supply is known. Why? Because you cannot buy Salesforce from SAP Ariba.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
true.
your
Yeah,
supplier is fine. Your pricing may change a little bit. Why? Because sometimes user base might increase or your user
yeah,
base might decrease, your transaction volume might increase or decrease. So based upon that, price will change a little bit, but that is within the exceptional limit. So there will be
okay,
no issues. So you will be renewing the contract. That means version 2. After the second year, version 3. Third year,
okay,
version 4. Like this, it will happen.
okay. So I don't need to do this upstream process the next year.
Yeah, upstream means you just have to come to the contract, this particular contract. What you will do,
Okay,
you will just change the price a little bit. If it is changing, you will renew the expiration date and you will publish it.
okay, okay. So okay, so that is going to that is the change that at the upstream side, right?
Yeah,
So
only
and that is
changes.
going to affect the okay, okay. Okay, so the second question I have is most probably is that uh,
Hmm.
let's assume we I don't have an SLP right now and I have a
Hmm.
contract template in place. Tomorrow, if I'm
Hmm.
going to add SLP and guided buying or some other module, will
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
contract page change or will the fields in that change?
No, no, no. This will not change. See, it is not directly. See, guided buying, if you're adding, no issues with that. Okay.
Okay,
Guided buying will not have any impact. Why? Because guided buying is a user interface.
okay,
But if
okay.
you're going to add SLP, that will also
Hmm.
not change anything within the contract. Huh. But the process will change a little bit. Why? Because previously there was no qualification of supplier, no registration of supplier. Now, what will happen before you create a contract? You have to qualify the supplier, then only you have to come to the contract screen.
Okay, okay,
But within the screen, nothing will change.
okay, okay. So then fields or patterns or any linkings, nothing will change. What
Yeah,
or there's
nothing
no
will change.
additional fields. Okay,
No,
okay.
no additional field will be there over there.
Okay. Third, hopefully this is the final thing, is that let's assume I have 300 or 3,000 suppliers as of today. And you did mention that we need to go through this process of SLP, of requesting or inviting,
Yeah,
registering the supplier and all of those things, right?
3000 time. Huh?
Yeah. So if I want to onboard them into SAP, what is the best process to do that? Right? Because I
On
know that
board,
I
then
want to do it
again,
fast. Yeah.
again, SAP means what? SAP ECC or SAP Ariba?
Sorry, Ariba. I already have it them
Okay.
in HANA,
Okay.
right? I
Okay, so
want to
basically
onboard
what you
them
have
in.
to do is like you have to do the SLP mass data load. Why? Because 3000 time if you're going to do the supply request, supply registration, supply qualification, any
Yeah.
buyer will get mad. So
Yeah.
you have to do a SLP mass data load. And let me tell you, hardly it will take 1 week. Why? Because
Okay.
he will be preparing the CSV files with all the data. Once you prepare the CSV file, that actual job is going to take hardly 5-6 hours, not more than that within the screen.
Okay. And then it
So
is left to the supplier to complete their transaction, or is there a dependency that supplier needs to complete some interaction from their
no,
side?
not
Assuming,
dependency. Actually, if the supplier does not complete the registration process through the SLP mass data load, they won't be allowed to take part in the sourcing project at all. Why? Because
okay,
their status will not be changed from undergoing registration to registration until unless they register themselves in Ariba network. So this particular stuff, that is the SLP mass data load, we are going to check where within our integration scenario. When we are going to go into the integration, the
uh,
first session on integration is SLP mass data loads. We are going to see in
o-
details each and everything.
okay. So my question was related to the contract. So let's assume I have
Hmm.
3,000 and I
Huh.
have like 500 people who have accepted and completed the process.
Mhm.
So how do I upload these existing contracts of these 500 suppliers into the
Hmm.
contract workspace, into the contract management, so that I can refer that in the future? Is there a easier approach, or should I just, because the vendor ID or the contract ID, vendor ID is only get created after the registration happens. That's my
Yeah.
assumption. So which
Yeah.
means that if I have to link the contract to that supplier,
Hmm.
so is the
First of all,
contract
first of
workspace
all,
different
first
from
of all,
contract? Yeah.
no, contract workspace and contract are same over there. When I'm
Okay.
talking about contract compliance, that is different from contract workspace / contract management, because contract workspace and contract management are same over here. Okay. And the second thing
Okay.
is like, what I will suggest is like, before you go ahead with this, contract replication and all those stuff, first of all is
Yeah.
like you have to do the SLP mass data load. Why? Because if your supplier is not registered or not registered, sorry, not qualified, you cannot create a contract. So that is why SLP mass
Okay.
data load is the first thing which you should do. Second is like you should go to the mass data load. Then there is a thing called as import contracts.csv. So there what you will do is like you will import those contracts which has been created in the SAP ECC. You will copy and paste the data from there into the CSV and you will upload it. Then what will happen? All this contract which is in active status over there will be getting created in SAP Ariba itself. But remember, follow the
Okay.
sequence. Follow the
Okay.
sequence.
Might be, I
SLP
think,
first, then
yeah.
this thing.
Yeah. Okay. Might be. I think hopefully tomorrow I might have a little more questions. And then we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And one more thing is like, Prem, remember these things are going to come by because the more we go deep into the things, okay, downstream integration, then what will happen is like, then all this complex scenario which you're asking, this will come into the picture and then I will be replying to that. Okay. So basic
Okay.
overview I have given over here that this is how things will happen, but individually things we are going to see in our integration sessions over there.
Sure, Manoj. I mean, just to add to that, because I have a situation where we have started using CMS as the first module. We won't before even using Ariba,
Yeah.
only for the contract management, and now
Okay.
we are finding it difficult to to integrate it with the existing Ariba bigger environment, right? So that is the problem we are trying to solve. Yeah.
Yeah, so see, it's not a very complex thing. It's pretty easy thing. Only thing is like you have to follow a sequence over there. So I have already seen your mail over there, Prem, which you have seen. So I'm just preparing the answer to it. Why? Because I will be sending the answer over there saying these are the different steps, and you
Okay.
have to follow the sequence. It should not be like Manoj just said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step. Do the fifth step
No.
on the first step. No, don't do it.
Okay.
Then it will not work.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I will come back with more questions tomorrow, hopefully. Yeah. Thank you.
Definitely, Prem. Thank you. Yeah, Saurav, can you please go ahead and ask your query?
Yeah, you can hear me now, right?
Yeah, yes, Saurav, I'm able
Yeah.
to hear you.
the first question is under this copy from contract, right? You explained the third scenario where if you're working on one project, right? So if it's a project and you have like 6 RFP created, and if they belong to 6 different suppliers, then should we create? I mean, should we say we should copy the contract, or should we basically create a whole new contract for each different RFP?
No. Create new contract for all the 6 suppliers. Copy will never come over there. This particular question, this particular scenario, I used for describing the add to existing contract. So what I said was like 6 RFP is there. The first 3 RFP is won by the same supplier. Okay. The next 4th, 5th, and 6th RFP is won by supplier 2, supplier 3, and supplier 4 respectively. So then for RFP 1, you will choose supplier 1 and you will create a contract. For RFP 2, you don't need to create a new contract. You will say add to an existing contract. That is the first contract. Similarly, for RFP 3, you will again use the existing contract. But RFP 4, you have to create a new contract. Why? Because this is new RFP, new supplier, means different supplier. So you have to create a new contract. But copy from contract, generally where you will use whenever you are creating a contract without any reference of RFP. That means you are just creating contract out of thin air. It's like you will go click on create and contract workspace. If you're creating like this, then you can use the copy option.
Sure. Okay, I got that. And second question is the test project, right? So my understanding on the test project was basically, if we say it's a test project, yes, basically we do that in the Dev system, right? When you say yes and no notification email will be sent across to our, the partners or the buyer, supplier.
Yeah.
So, right, that's the right understanding, right? So if we say it as
no. See, remember, so what you told is correct, but generally we don't use this test project concept in development system. We will only use this in why? Because in development we will know all the transactional data is test data, right? But in production, 99.9% of the time the transactional data is real-time data. 0.01% we can say that particular data is test data. So then if you want to test out our sourcing template, if we have done some changes in the sourcing template, I want to test out the process. If I have done some changes in the contract template, I want to test a little bit of process in the production, then only I will give it to the different end user. So what I will do, I will create a test sourcing project, test contract, and then I will select test project is equal to yes. Then what will happen? The supplier, even if I use a real-time supplier, the official mail that you have been awarded the sourcing project or that you have been awarded a contract will not go. Otherwise, what will happen is like if a mail like this goes, this supplier will take you to court saying, hey, how come I will know this is a demo process? You haven't informed me. Some user might wrongly, take a real-time supplier instead of a test supplier. So there might be a court cases. So that is why this concept of test project is used only in production realm. In development realm, you don't have any meaning of test project.
Okay, got it. Because my understanding was that basically whenever we want to move any changes, right? So if you want to test it, we usually perform this in dev and quality, right? And then we move to production. So basically that was what my understanding. And now, I think I got the clear picture of it.
And another thing, Saurav, in most of the Ariba project, you will not have quality system, development system, then directly production.
And how about the UAT, right? Like the UAT still performed in production?
It will happen. No, it will happen. First UAT will always happen. See, all the UAT will happen in development. Okay, it will happen in development, and then when you are going to go live in the production, one round of light testing will happen. So there, what will happen? The first test process, which will happen end to end, there all the things will be done in a test project manner. So once it has been done successfully, then go live has been declared. Then your first real-time transaction will be created, and then everybody will start using it.
Okay, got it.
So generally what we do, we will archive these test project documents. We will archive these test project documents in our production server so that it cannot be used by anybody else.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, got it. Thanks, Manoj. And actually, I had one question. I don't know if I want, if you should connect it offline, or basically if you could able to help me out here. I mean, basically just, I mean, it's not a part of this requirement here, but the part of the requirement is like on the P2P side of it. So say,
Okay.
if you are like an interviewer, right, and if you want
Mhm.
to interview a candidate and say that you want to question him on the configuration part of it on the P2P side.
Mhm.
So basically, what are those areas that you would concentrate on? Basically,
Okay.
whether
So
it would be
basically,
yeah.
what I will be doing is like I will be asking you from the easier side. If I say, I will be just be asking you how to load a catalog. Okay.
Okay.
How to just create one level or two level of approval workflow.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
Then I will move into a medium complexity thing. If I want to configure the catalog validation rules, that means
Hmm.
10 fields are there in Ariba
Hmm.
for catalogs. 5 fields are mandatory. Rest 5 fields I want to also make mandatory. Where we can do it?
Hmm.
Can we
Okay.
do it for one supplier, or do we have to do it for all the suppliers? This is generally answerable through the catalog validation rules. So
Okay.
next thing would be like the catalog views, where the catalog
Mhm.
views will come into the picture. Okay.
Hmm.
So if you want to control the view of the catalog, 1 million catalog item is present. You cannot show 1 million catalog item to all the buyers, right? You will control the
Okay.
view. So their catalog
Mhm.
view will come into the picture,
Hmm.
where catalog hierarchy will be coming into the picture. Similarly,
Hmm.
on the
Hmm.
workflow side, what I will do is like I will be saying that how serial and parallel will be behaving in the downstream, how
Yeah.
custom will be behaving over there.
Mhm.
Custom, there is no custom in downstream, but
Hmm.
if you implement a combination of serial and parallel workflow in such a way that both of the things are present within your workflow, by default it will become a custom workflow. So these are the type of tricky question which I will ask in the average section. Now, if you
Okay.
go into the overall complex question, then I will ask how you can implement dynamic approval level in
Hmm.
the Ariba downstream approval. Dynamic means in one level there can be one approver, right? But what I will do
Mhm.
is like I will give 10 approver with 10 condition.
Hmm.
Based on the
Okay.
condition, only one approver will get selected as the approval for that level. How it can be done, how you are going to configure it. If 2 or 3 condition is matching at the same time, which approver
Hmm.
will get picked, why it will be getting picked over there. Similarly, I will be going and asking you about the tax configuration. I will not ask
Okay.
you about tax code. I will not ask you about tax rate. Why? Because those things will be coming from your ECC system. But I will be saying I want to automate the tax configuration.
Hmm.
Tax code should come automatically, and tax calculation should happen automatically from the buyer side. How to do
Hmm.
it? Where to do it?
Okay.
So
I see.
all these things are complex things.
Okay. And generally there is like the major stress is on the PR approval side also, right? So basically that's one
No. See,
basically we have to
approval is same. Whether it's a
yeah.
PR, whether it's a
Uh,
PO, whether it's a invoice, whether it's a invoice reconciliation. Once you
hmm.
know about the downstream approval workflow, you can do any approval workflow. Why? Because it is not different from each other. Same you will
Hmm.
see in the upstream part. What we have seen in the sourcing, same thing will
Hmm.
happen in the contracting approval workflow. Why?
Yeah,
Because
okay.
it is same across all the upstream. Similarly, for the downstream, approval is same across all the downstream documents.
I see. And regarding this other thing, right? We have ASN and GRs, and also we have the invoices. Though these ESN, GRs, and invoices are basically posted from the supplier portal, and we don't have, basically we
No.
don't have to maintain.
One second here,
Yeah.
Prem. I
Yeah.
just want to, sorry, Saurav, just want to clarify on this part that
Hmm.
invoice is not mandatory that you should create it from Ariba Network site.
Hmm. Okay.
There is some other exceptional scenario through which invoice neither needs to be raised from the buyer side as well as from the supplier side. What is that particular scenario?
Mhm.
That is also a tricky question. ERS.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
is why always remember when you will go to a interview,
Hmm.
interviewer, if they are having knowledge, they will ask you, give me a yes or no answer.
Hmm.
Okay. So there you
I
don't give a yes or no answer. There you will say, from according to my views and according to the work which I have done, these are the things which will get downloaded. Or
hmm.
this is the thing which we have seen over there. Similarly, if anybody will ask me that only supplier can create invoice, then I will say no, buyer can also
Hmm.
create invoice. And then the
Okay.
third option is buyer will also not create, supplier will also not create, invoice will automatically get created. How? Through ERS.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I
there are
got
a
it.
lot of scenarios.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I think for now, I think probably there should be enough. Maybe once
No,
you
so
basically get it. Yeah.
the thing is like, let me tell you over here, Saurav, one thing, and not only for you, for everybody. See, I'm not one of those trainer who will say I have 100% knowledge in SAP Ariba. Even I don't have 100% knowledge in SAP Ariba. It is impossible. Even if you ask the founder of SAP Ariba that you have having 100% knowledge, they will say also no, it is not possible. Similarly, the thing is like we have to learn. Why? Because
Yeah.
there will be somebody in the world who is present in SAP Ariba who is having more skill than me. The only thing is like I have to learn. So what will happen is like I will grow every time. So don't think like, hey, this many type of complex scenarios might come over there. So always feel a little bit confident that okay, you are at least having this knowledge. There are a lot of participants, lot of other people who are coming into the Ariba, they are not having any knowledge in Ariba at all. So they want to
Okay.
have a crack just to come into
Okay.
Ariba. You're still having this knowledge, you're still having this training. Try to focus on the knowledge which you have. Why? Because you cannot compare yourself with me. Similarly,
Okay.
I cannot compare myself with the inventor or the creator of Ariba. Why? Because we are in the different leagues. Okay,
Right.
so whatever
Makes
knowledge we are having, we should be comfortable. That's the first thing. And second thing is like always strive to learn new things. Then only a person will grow.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Manoj. Yeah, because my only thing was like, from the procure to pay side, right? So basically,
Hmm.
I was wondering like these kind of invoices questions, especially, right? So for if you have service PR,
Invoices
we,
generally,
yeah,
generally
yeah.
invoices questions are mostly related to invoice reconciliation. Generally, when I
Okay.
take interviews over there, I generally don't focus on invoice. I focus mostly on the invoice reconciliation. Why? Because that is the point where everything will be checked. In invoice, everything is not checked. Just invoice will
Yep.
come and there will be approval for invoice, done. In invoice reconciliation, everything will be checked. Two-way check will happen, three-way check will happen.
Yep.
When two-way check will work, when three-way check will work, why it will work, what are the
Yep.
different kind of error, how we will resolve the error. So these are the
Yep.
things which we need to focus.
Yeah, so I have this understanding on two-way, three-way, but with three different systems. So in Ariba configuration side, so those are some tricky thing that probably I need to figure out in the system side. So basically, that's why the question came up. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically that is why I'm saying that don't concentrate on the tricky things, don't concentrate
Yeah.
in the complex thing. Look at
Okay.
this training first. Why? Because I will suggest if you want to go for a P2P interview, delay it for some time. Why? Because I think just after within 2 weeks only we are going to start with P2P only. Within 2 weeks, when we are starting with P2P and watching everything over here, then you follow through those things. Why? Because if you don't understand this thing, then what will happen is like you will always feel that there might be a complex question coming. But remember, even if you are able to give a easy answer and a medium answer for those, medium complex questions answer over there, that is more than enough to get you a new job
Okay. Yeah.
or a new project.
Cool.
So concentrate
Cool.
on those things which we are going to see. Why? Because these are the major things which is implemented in the system across most of the client, and these are the mostly the interviewed question over there. But apart from this, there are very very complex things. So nobody is going to ask you a question which is generally coming to me. Let's say I am having 7 years of experience, a different question will come to me. Interviewer will ask me different question. Similarly for you, they cannot ask you how dynamic approval workflow will work. What will happen when three condition will happen at the same time? Why? Because these are complex questions. If you have
Okay.
worked in 3-4 implementation project, then only this question will come.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Thanks, Manoj.
So,
I think that
so
was
don't
the
get
last.
don't
Yeah.
yeah. So don't
Yeah.
get what you can say, like a feeling like that what is happening. There is so much complex question which might come. No, it will never have come over there. You be comfortable with whatever knowledge you have. Try to gain lot of knowledge from this training. This will be more than enough for you for your break right now. But if you think this training is going to help you after 7 years, so that is a different thing.
Okay. No. I mean, yeah. This is actually helpful. So basically, I told you, right? So previously we implemented in SLP and just on the
Yeah.
invoice flow side, but we had integrated with three different systems. Okay,
Yeah.
not fully through Ariba. So there are some gaps that I need to fill in, and this is how basically I'm just trying to. That's how I got to know about this, training sessions also, which is very helpful for me too. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't worry on this part. In B2B also, you will see we are going to see much of the complex scenarios over there. First, we will begin with the easy scenario, then we will go to the average scenario, then we will go to the complex scenario.
Sure. So, thanks, Manoj. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, welcome, Saurav.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, guys, let us conclude our session for today. And next week, Saturday, we are going to have the contract template configuration. That is also one of the most important thing. Why? Because as I said before going to the Ariba downstream, concentrate on the Ariba upstream. Why? Because right now in the job market, there is a lot of opening for Ariba upstream, but there is not enough consultant at all. In downstream, there are still some people who are available in the market. Still, there is a shortage of resources, but in upstream, there is no availability of resources at all. So that is why, guys, I will suggest to all of you that next Saturday session is going to be very, very important. That is the contract template configuration, and on Sunday we are going to see the contract compliance process. So both of these two sessions are very, very important, not only from the upstream part, because contract compliance is a bridge between upstream and downstream. So for the upstream and downstream part also, it is going to be important. So try to stay on time over there, guys.
Yeah, Manoj, Diksha here. Actually, I need to
Yes.
speak to Iraj regarding remote access. So don't,
Okay.
don't finish the
You
meeting.
don't
So
have his call number? You don't have his phone number?
I will have to check. I
Okay.
have one number. I'm not sure if it's his number or not. Okay, that's okay. I'll call on this number and maybe.
Yeah, just or else if that number is BREs, just ask for Era's number over there. Just have a talk with him. Why? Because see, ultimately this recording is this
Okay.
session is getting recorded. So if you ask any personal things over there or some other things, what will happen is this will be recorded and it will be present across all the what you can say, for all the attendees over here. So it's better you just give him a call, or even if you have a phone number of the BREs, no issues. Ask the BREs for Era's number and then you call him. That will be much better.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Diksha. Okay, so let us conclude our session over here, guys. And once again, thanks Eraj for conducting this session. And once again, thanks all of you guys for attending the session. We are going to meet once again at the same time next week. Thank you all.
Thanks, Manoj.
Have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you,
Thank you, guys.
Manoj.